بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who should be praised. We ask Him for His guidance and we seek His forgiveness. And ask Allah Almighty to make us among those who adhere to the message of our Prophet, beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to make us among those who will drink from His hands on the day of judgment and reside with Him in the highest level of paradise. We say Ameen. So I told Muhammad not to do introduction. I'll do the introduction if needs be. My name is Munir Qleish. I come to you from California, sunny California. No thunderstorms, no lightnings, and no delays, and landing in different airports so you can get to your destinations. Again, from California, I work with Islamic Relief. It's one of the jobs I have. Alhamdulillah, I've been an activist within the Muslim community for some time. Worked with sometimes with the youth and college age students also. And married with 3 kids. Alhamdulillah. One wife, Mr. Salah. One God, one prophet, one book, one wife, one. That's the joke.
Like me. No.
Let me ask this question first. So how many of you were, I was here a couple of months ago for the mass convention. How many of you attended the prayer session in that convention? Which was, so the reason I'm asking because it's, that session is part of, it's the first session of the series. So why we do this, let me just give a quick recap. So prayer seminar, if you want to talk about, if you want to teach somebody about Salah, why would you want to spend the whole day learning about it? And actually, and this seminar is about 4 sessions long, speaking-wise sessions. Each session is between an hour and 15 minutes long. So you end up with breaks on Salah, maybe 6 to 8 hours or so. Is that sufficient? Is that too much? It's not, actually. You can spend maybe another day or 2 if you want to go into depth into that. So there's a lot of stuff that we can be covered if we need to. And it's something of necessity. It's something important, I think. What's one of the most important things we do in Ramadan? Or the most common things we do in Ramadan? Besides fasting. Praying a lot, right? Alhamdulillah, try to commit more to Salah. There's Taraweeh in congregation, and it's like a nightly festival, if you wish. The masjid is packed for 30 days, supposedly, except in the middle. Sometimes it dips, too many invitations, the food gets too heavy. But it's one of the things that we do a lot during Ramadan besides fasting, is praying maybe more than ever. And it just behooves us or much to focus on the Salah that we're doing. Besides the physical aspect of it, there's the physical, there's the spiritual aspect, and there is the legislative, if you wish, or the jurisprudence aspect of it, the fiqh aspect of it. Am I doing it right, not doing it right? I can tell you that, inshallah we'll come to the second session, I'll mention some of the stuff like that. So the first thing is ma'na salah. What does salah mean? And because of time, so I will try, inshallah ta'ala, to maybe go through it, and when times for sessions and questions, I'll open it up in the second and third question, inshallah. So as-salah in Arabic, linguistically, لغويا, as-salah تأتي من الصلة. Salah comes from the root in Arabic. In Arabic language, generally you can bring the root of any word to 3 letters, or so, the majority. So as-salah comes from the root sila. Right? Sila means, you've been to the movie theater, watching a movie. What's the latest thing? Jump 22nd Street or something like that? What's I heard? What's out there? Wolverine? What's out there? So if you go to the movie theater, you see all the seats are attached, right? They're bolted in and attached. You can't move them. متصلين. They're connected. So sila means there's a connection. Sila means there's a connection. Linguistically, as-salah min as-sila. So from linguistic perspective, in the Arabic language, as-salah means you're connected. There's some sort of a relationship. And we are in a relationship when we pray. And this relationship is between me as a creation and my creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ali bin Abi Talib says, if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to speak to you, open the Quran, because the Quran is Allah's words for you. Anybody, hijab, no hijab, money, no money, rich, poor, young, old, male, female, Muslim, not. If you want Allah to speak to you, you don't have to make an appointment, send the text, you don't have to do that. Just open Allah's book, and Allah will be addressing you, because His message is to you. McDonald's tea? Okay. Somebody say McDonald's? Hope it's not coffee. Rami's just had a daughter, so congratulations. You didn't have any sleep. So as-salah from as-salah, there's a connection. And we are in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said, Imam Ali said, if you want Allah to speak to you, open the Quran. If you want to speak to Allah, just stand up and pray. Just get up and pray. As-salah min as-sila. Connection. Let me ask you this question. If I'm in a relationship, so salah, connection, relationship, who just got engaged? Where did Muhammad go? He left. So probably he's trying to lose weight right now, and he cut his hair and he's dressing a little bit nicer. So when you are in a relationship, when you're going to say you get engaged. Yesterday was my anniversary, 11 years married, alhamdulillah. Wow. So I remember when we got engaged, you want to look your best. You want to say your best, because you getting to know somebody that, right, for the purpose of marriage. After engagement, you walk to. So you try your best, Muhammad, right? You're going to dress nice and text nice and message nice and WhatsApp nice and all that stuff. So you try your best, because you are engaged in a relationship. You're trying to not just impress, but you're trying to be at your best when you're speaking to someone that you care for a lot. Imagine that you have a job interview, or a business meeting, or a big client, Prime Furniture, trying to close this business account. So you look your best, you put cologne, and you practice, and so on and so forth. Because you are engaged in a relationship, or you're trying, whether it's business, whether it's marital, and so on and so forth. Right? So you will dress, you will look good, you'll smell good, you'll take a shower. How many of us, when we got up today for Fajr, realize that I'm engaged in a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so let me brush my teeth before I pray. Let me put my best garment on. Let me put cologne. Or did I walk into I made wudu while the lights are off because I don't want to make up. We are engaged in a relationship. As-salah min as-sila. I'm in a relationship. I am talking to Allah Rabbil Alameen, the Lord of the world. If I want to change my mindset about salah, then I need to think I'm speaking to Allah, because that's what it is. Salah, sila, connection between me and my Lord. So I'm engaged in a direct conversation with Rabbil Alameen. You know, every time we recite Surah Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah says, Hamadani Abdi. My servant has praised me. And there's that one hadith, back and forth. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Majadani Abdi. And when we say, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een, oh my Lord, we worship you and we only seek help from you. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. You know, that's a dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond back. That's what my servant asked for, and li'abdi ma sa'al, and he will get, or she will get what they ask for. So you are conversing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So keep that in mind. As-salah means sila, connection. Another meaning for salah is from Surah Al-Ahzab. There's this verse that we hear all the time at the end of the khutbah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتُهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Say, Allahumma salli wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right now in Egypt they're fighting that. They have a sign that says, did you praise Prophet Muhammad or send peace, did you invoke peace and blessings on Prophet Muhammad on the cars? The government instituted a law that everybody has that on their car, they'll get a ticket.
It's true, yeah.
TV station anchors are saying, yeah, you should keep that for yourself, say it secretly. Why you, this is a Muslim country. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this is an order. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد. So what is the word here used? It's an fi'l. It's an active action. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His angels are invoking peace and blessings on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه. All you believe, praise and invoke peace and blessings on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taslima. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad. So we see the same word is used. As-salat. Yusallun, it's an active form of it. What's the Salat al-Rabb, as the scholars say, so we'll give a meaning there. Salat al-Rabbi thana'uhu alayhi inda al-malaika. It's not the physical form that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's not the one we know, right? The physical you make in salat. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praising Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam before the angels. And Salat al-Malaika, and then it's the Malaika are making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He would praise Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and raise his status. So here, as-salah linguistically means, or in this form, it means a dua. Okay? And from this verse, we understand as-salah means a dua. The angels are sending peace and blessings on the Prophet. They're asking Allah to increase his status, and we do the same thing. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So as-salah in this, so the first meaning is what? Connection, relationship. Second one is dua. What is the best state of dua? Where will be? At what position? Sujood. So that's during Salah. Sujood is during Salah. And generally when we make dua, who we make dua to? Allah. When Prophet Muhammad taught Abdullah ibn Abbas, يا غلام إني أعلمك كلمات احفظ الله يحفظك احفظ الله تجده تجاهك وإذا سألت فاسأل الله وإذا استعذت. So Allah, Prophet Muhammad is still in Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas. He was riding with him behind him, saying, "Oh young man, let me teach you these few words. Be mindful of Allah, Allah will be mindful of you. Allah will protect you. Be mindful of Allah, Allah will facilitate things for you. Will open up things for you. If you ask of Allah." He's teaching him this aqidah, perspective, that creed aspect. If you only ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, and that tawakkul Allah Rabbil Alameen. So when we make dua, you know, some people at tawassul, they call it, you don't have to take a real, like if what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, when Ramadan is coming, right, in the middle of these verses of fasting in Ramadan, Allah tells us, and when my servants ask you about me, I am near. You don't need the mediation between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or a mediator. Therefore, when you ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, directly, it's between you and your Rabb, whatever you want, at whatever state that you're in. And the best state to do that at is when you are in sujood. You can do it outside the sujood too, but the closest to Allah is when you have your forehead on the ground in humiliation and tawadu' lillahi rabbil alameen. You do that. So a dua is a salah. Alright? So we make dua for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants best for us. You want a spouse? Ask Allah. You want more money? Ask Allah. You have a headache? You think that Tylenol pill is going to serve it? No, we use that. It's a mean. But who gives the shifa? It's Allah Rabbil Alameen. It's not me or you or the doctor. I go to the doctor if I'm sick. But I know cure is not in his hand or her hand. The cure is in Allah's hand. So we make dua to Rabbil Alameen. And the closest point while I'm making dua is I'm in the state of sujood. So I have two meanings now. Relationship, connection, dua. Alright? Third meaning, also Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور. One of the verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He is the one that He prays on you. يصلي عليكم. Invokes ليخرج وملائكته and His angels. ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور. So He will take you from the darknesses, the multi layers and levels of darknesses in this world, to one light. And that is the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One road of guidance, that is Allah's road. Our faith, Islam and so on and so forth. So the same word is used here. Yusalli alaykum, that praise on you. That's again, what do the scholars say about here? Salatu Rabbi ma'naha. Imam Sufyan al-Thawri says, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yusalli alayna is yunazzil alayna rahmatah. So salah here means Allah descends on us His mercy. Descends on us His mercy. And the way of the angels, when they say yusallu alayna, or for the people, is they ask Allah al-istighfar. They're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. الدعاء للناس والاستغفار لهم. So هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends His mercy. The angels ask for our forgiveness. So Allah will take us away from the darknesses in this life to the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the third meaning of salah. So if I want to connect these three, salah linguistically means connection, dua, mercy, rahmah. So when I'm praying, I should realize that I'm in a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I can make dua to receive His mercy. So next time you want to pray Salat al-Dhuhr, if you want to be specific about what you ask, it's best that you ask Allah for what's best for you. You don't know if this spouse is best for you, this car is best for you, this. Ya Allah, give me what's best for me, because Allah knows. So next time you approach that salah, put it in that mindset that you're about to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are engaging in a conversation between yourself and Rabbil Alameen. You should look your best. You should dress your best. You should smell your best. You do that with many people out there, right? If you want to come. But that's how we should be with Allah Rabbil Alameen. If I really want to change the state that we're in with salah. Second aspect of salah. This is fine? Is this good explanation on this front? Okay. So this is ma'na salah. That's what the meaning of prayer is. So for those who came late, we said three meanings linguistically for the meaning of salah. One is connection, relationship. As-salah from the root in Arabic sila, which means there's a connection, there's a relationship, and that relationship is between us as a creation and our creator. Second meaning, it means dua, from the verse in Surah Al-Ahzab that Allah, إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Muhammad. As-salah here means a dua, which is supplication, and the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to supplicate is when we're all in the state of sujood, while we're praying, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly without mediation. And third meaning of salah is ar-rahmah. That's from, again, a verse from Surah Al-Ahzab, هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور. That in here means mercy, rahmah is mercy. So think of salah when you're approaching it, that I'm engaged with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll make dua to get His mercy. To get His mercy. And from Allah's mercy, everything we have in this life. From Allah's mercy that we have a good spouse, that we have a good job. From Allah's mercy on us that I have a good health. That's all from Allah's rahmat Rabbil Alameen. From which is only what we have here on this earth is 1 of 100%. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us 1% of His mercy on this earth, and He saved 99% of that till the day of judgment. Look at how much Allah's mercy is. Look how much Allah's mercy is. Second aspect of this session. So first, now we understand what salah means. Again, I want to change from I have to pray to I want to pray. So if I know what it means linguistically and shari', and I didn't even speak about shari', it's engaging in a direct relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But now also do I understand the importance of it Islamically? If I ask you this question, what's more important? Fasting or praying?
Praying.
or zakat?
Pray.
Somebody said equal, right?
I see.
You said equal. I'll fix the credit now. But
Ignore.
so are they equal or not? So why do you think more people fast in Ramadan, even those who are mulhideen even at times? Until you know it's Ramadan.
It's a culture.
It's a culture. And maybe people worship Ramadan, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in many, not in belief, but in practice. Because the same people will come to the masjid in Ramadan and they would fast and they might pray. And Allah is the one who created Ramadan. But how about Sha'ban and Shawwal? They got nothing to do with salah or fasting or knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if we became accustomed to worship Ramadan, not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if I worship Allah, I'll pray Sha'ban and Shawwal and all the months. I should be doing that. So the question is, what's more important? I want you to think this building right here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, structurally, in order for you to have, this is the basement, right?
Yes.
And then you have the first floor and you have the second floor. What needed to happen before this building?
Pillars.
Foundation.
Those foundations. Listen to the hadith Prophet Muhammad as if he was a civil engineer. بُنِيَ الْإِسْلَامُ عَلَى خَمْسٍ. Islam is established in 5 main pillars. So there's 5 main pillars. Before the roof, before the hijab and the beard, and the nice, whatever it is, there's 5 pillars needs to be founded. And these are shahadatayn, right? You say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan rasulullah. What's after that? Iqamat as-salah, not salah, iqamat as-salah. Establish. And then أيوة paying zakah, صوم رمضان, الحج لمن استطاع إليه سبيلا. Those perform hajj for those who can afford to do so, mentally, psychologically, and financially, and so on and so forth. So there are, is the sequence important or not? To a certain extent, yes, it is very important. Why? Because when Prophet Muhammad sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal, I believe it was Mu'adh ibn Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen, he said, Ya Mu'adh, teach him about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they believe, they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan rasulullah. If they say it, teach him about salah. If they do it, teach him about. If they, there's that sequence. So there is this building, it needed to have 5 pillars. And one of these pillars, if it's, shaking, or not properly positioned or founded and so on and so forth, built, then the whole building, no matter how big it is afterwards, with the minor shake. September 11, right? How many people shaved and took off their scarves and got nothing, changed their names? And the foundations need to be strong. They have to be strong. Because the appearance, kamaliyat, these extra stuff, but the foundation has to be right. And Prophet Muhammad one of his companions is very inquisitive. Ya Allah, Ya Prophet of Allah, tell me about what's the, things that will prevent me from going to hellfire and so on and so forth. And Prophet tells him about, the goodness, you do this, you do that. And shouldn't I tell you about the most important thing in your life? أدلك على رأس الأمر. The most important thing, matter in your life is your religion. رأس الأمر الإسلام وعموده الصلاة. And the pillar that holds it is الصلاة. And that's what I want you to think of this. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says in the meaning of which, I'm paraphrasing again. While, he said, your feet will not move in the day of judgment. Won't move. Until you ask, or your salah is examined, your prayer is examined. إذا صلحت صلح سائر العمل كله. If it's sound and healthy and done right, on time, properly, consciously, the rest of your actions, these endless nights in your MSA or in your mass or masjid and meetings and donations and if it's sound, the rest is sound. But if it's delayed, combined regularly, I'm talking about, you pray unconsciously, forget about it, and so on and so forth, no matter how much good you've done, وَإِذَا فسد سائر العمل كله. All of your deeds are corrupt, rusty, ill, diseased, are not much good. So the first thing Allah asks you about, the first thing is about your salah. So I'm talking again the importance of salah in Islam. The first thing Allah asked me about. You know, Prophet Muhammad while he was in the bed of death, generally the heads of state, when they're passing, so what, he should be worried. He had a lot of followers, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? He had family members, he had army, and he had a lot of things to worry about. Those who are trying to combat Islam. On the bed of death, you know what the Prophet was saying, advising the companions? As-salah, as-salah, wa ma malakat aymanukum. As-salah, as-salah, wa ma malakat aymanukum. As-salah, as-salah, wa ma malakat aymanukum. He's the head of state. He's the messenger of Prophet Muhammad of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And while he's dying, he said, hold on to your prayer, hold on to your prayer, hold on to your prayer, hold on to your prayer. As he knew the state we're in, that's going to happen. So he's passing, he's dying, and he's telling you, hold on to your salah, hold on to your salah, hold on to your salah. Because it's of importance. One more thing to highlight the importance. Quran is revealed over how many years? 23 years. So Ramadan is approaching in 6 days or 7 days. Do you know which verse was Quran prescribed? يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم, right? Verse 184 in Surah Al-Baqarah. الزكاة, Al-Hajj, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam to reveal the Quran over the span of how many years? 23 years. Allah entrusted Sayyidina Jibreel to bring down the Quran to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with exception to one command. In the journey of Al-Isra wal Mi'raj, you know, they say, you hear if the US wants to discuss an important matter, they don't dispatch something to the ambassador and say, here, they bring the ambassador in-house. And they discuss the affair. Because of something big. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the journey of Al-Isra wal Mi'raj, the night journey, Allah brings Sayyidina Muhammad from Mecca to Jerusalem. And he leads salah with all the companions, and Allah commands Sayyidina Jibreel to be Prophet, to bring him to the where? To heaven. So he's to his tour guide. So he brings him to heaven. No Buraq. And then Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam shown Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam السماء الأولى والثانية والثالثة. He's saying the prophets, he's saying Sayyidina Isa, Sayyidina Musa, right? And he's seeing people who have been punished and so on and so forth, right? And then they reach a point where Sayyidina Jibreel, that's the chief of the angels, stops. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu continues, Jibreel, why won't you come? Oh Muhammad, you go into a place, no human being, no angels. Nobody ever been stepped into that place. He's about to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not even Sayyidina Jibreel. He has a meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicates. What does he communicate to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu then, right there and then? Hand-delivered message, not through a mediation, not through an ambassador. The Quran, the thing that we revere, it came through Sayyidina Jibreel. But Allah sent to bring Jibreel to bring Muhammad to the highest level of paradise. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will directly communicate this command to Prophet Muhammad not with a mediation or through someone in between. So the only order that came directly, hand delivered if you wish, is the salah. So next time you're about to miss it, you got to think twice. And thrice. Next time, how about you combine it, delay it, because we're doing tawaf in the mall. Got to think twice. Because Allah is telling us through this journey, this is of high importance. So Allah directly tells Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and how many salahs were prescribed? 50. And Sayyidina Muhammad goes down, and Sayyidina Musa tells him, the Jews before, don't go back and ask for less. And he kept going back and forth until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reduced it to how many? 5. But Allah is the most generous. Every time you pray is equivalent to what? 10. The original thing is 50 salats. Al-hasanatu bi'ashri amthaliha. So you're rewarded as if you're praying 50 times. But what should we, if we're talking about the importance of salah in Islam, think of this incident all the time. That Allah is bringing us, highlighting to us the importance of salah is by Him bringing His messenger to meet Him directly and communicate that to Him directly. So we will pay attention to it much more than anything else, right? In terms of priorities, after I say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, is my salah. So if you delay it, combine it, forget about it, think about that twice. Because Allah is telling you and myself, this is danger zone. And that's why you see some of the hadith, Al-ahdu alladhi baynana wa baynahum as-salah. You know, in some of the opinions, those who do not pray, they're kafir. Straight up. There's other opinions that will tell you on which I'm with, if it's out of laziness, it's not out of, then it's okay, they're just sinners. But some people take the hadith literally, because it's a major problem. So in terms of importance, Allah communicates that directly. This is the first thing we'll be asked about in the Day of Judgment. Prophet ﷺ, while he's dying, he's saying, As-salah, as-salah, as-salah is the pillar after Ash-Shahada. To become a Muslim, say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and the second right after that is you start Salah, just to highlight the importance. Again, now I know what it means, I know its importance in Islam. Third is the virtues, benefits of Salah. There's physical benefits, there's spiritual benefits that sometimes we can't account for and we don't account for. Psychological benefits. You know, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to tell Sayyidina Bilal, Arihna biha ya Bilal. You know, when you call on for salah, so we bring comfort and ease to us, ya Bilal. Not Arihna minha ya Bilal. Not, let's just, which one of us sometimes, let's pray mass, we gotta do this. No. And that's why Prophet says, جُعِلَ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي أو جُعِلَ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ, that I have the comfort and peace of my eyes in salah. Because he knows that he's meeting his Lord. He's enjoying that relationship. And he's making dua and receiving to get Allah's mercy. Because he understands that it's an important thing before Allah's sight. He understands the meaning and the virtue and the blessings and the importance of salah. So one of the virtues of salah, it erases sins. One time Prophet Muhammad told the companions, think of a man who lives on the bank of a river, and every time that he needs to cross to do some errands, he needs to run through the river. There's no bridge, and it's flowing water. So he asked him, is this man at the end of the day, after he finishes with his last trip, he comes out, is he going to have any daran on him? And the companions asked this word, they didn't know, what's daran? What's that? Dirt. Is he gonna be dirty, sweaty, or have dirt on him? They said, Ya Rasulullah, this guy's like he's bathing 5 times a day. Like literally, he just came out and it's running water. It's not still water. It's a river. So will he what? Will he have any daran? No, Ya Rasulullah. This guy is bathing. And he said, that's the example of salah. It erases your sins. It erases your sins. You know, Dr. Khurram Murad. If you guys don't have this book, why? It's called, I think I have it here. There's a book called In the Early Hours. It's a beautiful spiritual book, and Ramadan is probably one of the best times you can read it if you don't have it. It's called In the Early Hours. You know, he says something beautiful about that. He said, you know, if someone is bathing 5 times a day, and at the end of the day smells bad, will you question the water or the way he or she is bathing? The water is pure. The way. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ. Salah should prevent you from dwelling into evil deeds. And if I'm recognizing that I'm praying and I keep doing the same haram or more and more and more, I don't have to question the validity of this hadith or salah. It's the validity of how I'm approaching and praying. Right? So one of the virtues of salah, it erases sins. Every time between salah and salah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will wipe out your minor sins. Prophet Muhammad, one of the virtues is here muftahun lil Jannah. One of the keys of Jannah. Prophet one time says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, and he said that 3 times, and ثُمَّ بَكَى. Then he started crying. ثُمَّ قال مَنْ أَقَامَ الصَّلَوَاتِ الْخَمْسِ وَحَجَّ وَصَامَ. Prophet said, whoever prays the 5 daily prayers, iqama. Okay? And I'll make the distinction between iqama and just praying. Because iqama means to do it to the best of your ability, to beautify it, to fulfill its requirements from A to Z. And you do the hajj and you do salah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or Prophet says, دَخَلَ Jannah. Whoever does that, he or she will enter into Jannah. So one of the keys of Jannah is to do salah on time. Prophet Muhammad min أحب الأعمال إلى Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, among the most beloved deeds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to pray on time. That's in the first 20-30 minutes of when time comes in. Not delay to keep it to the last 5 minutes. Among the virtues of salah, so we say that it erases the sins. It's one of the keys of Jannah. He one time he said in a hadith, I believe reported by Imam Ahmad, صَلِّ فَإِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ شِفَاءٌ. صَلِّ فَإِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ شِفَاءٌ. Pray, there's a cure in salah. You know, there's one guy who's reported that he had some sort of pain, and he went to a chiropractor. So after he told him do this and take this kind of exercise, and they told him, okay, what's your name? He's writing his prescription. And he said, Ahmed something. And he said, oh, Ahmed, that's like a Muslim. He's that's in the West, like in the UK or something. Is that, you're Muslim? He said, yeah. I said, do you pray? He said, no. I said, pray. That's one of the exercises I want you to do. I want you to do that. The hadith is said, the hadith is so wide open. There's cure in prayer. This cure could be physical, it could be mental, it could be psychological. In this case, you know some of the benefits. I'm from the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, where Facebook and Google and Apple and all that stuff is right there within 20 miles radius. All these, they tell them these are ergonomic people that because these people sit too much, so they get carpal tunnel, back problems because they slouching too much and working too good. Get up, stretch. Don't sit for that long. Salah is like works for that. You gotta do something outside. A friend of mine, someone I know, maybe for those guys who know basketball players, his name is Tariq Abdel Wahad, Olivier Saint-Jean, the first Frenchman who actually entered the NBA back in 97, 98, before Tony Parker, champ. Yeah, it's in 96 or so. This guy was playing at San Jose State, 6'6", 240 pounds. He became Muslim in our community while he's playing at college, and alhamdulillah, a few months later he got drafted. So Tariq is like a gym rat, if you wish. He's 6'6", he was this high-scoring guy in the Pac-10, I think, or whatever the conference they were playing in. So when he embraced Islam, he started praying. And that's in us in our community. So he told a close friend of mine, I exercise so much. But one of the best exercises for my thighs is when I start praying, because the stretch, when you do the sujood and stuff, that's not a common exercise for them. So that's great for my thighs. The hadith is there, صَلِّ فَإِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ شِفَاءٌ. There's a cure in it. Sheikh Muhammad Hassan. Because some of us might think, really, Sheikh Muhammad Hassan, one of the mashayikh I personally learned a lot from. I like to listen to his Egyptian. His style, probably linguistically, is a great orator. So one time he's in New York. He was visiting a masjid in New York, and he was at the airport. So Salah time came, So he wanted to pray. So he prayed. And he generally keeps his white garment. He doesn't change it. So while he's praying, of course, you have to do sujood. And there's an older man came rushing towards him. So the guy said, like, please, let him. He was just praying. So when he finished, they told him, what were you doing? And there's a translator right there. He said, I was praying. He said, why you were in that state of sujood? He said, that's part of our salah. So I told him, I have migraines. This is the older gentleman saying that. I have migraines. The reason I'm asking you is because the only position that I get comfort when that thing hits is when I'm doing what you were doing. When I put my forehead on the ground. And he told him this is a practice that we have in Islam, so they exchanged cards. He was going to visit a certain center in New York. 2-3 days later, this man came to the masjid, an old man, and he embraced Islam. For him, there's a cure. His cure is different than yours. But the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is valid whether you like it or not, whether you believe it, because it's there. Some people, for them, is that spiritual cure. It gives them comfort and ease. Some of it's physical cure. But there's that virtue in it. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. Prophet ﷺ does not speak in vain. There's a cure. Physically, mentally, psychologically. But that's there. The rest is your sin. There's a cure in it. It opens one of the gates of Jannah. Let me tell you the story, and I don't know I mentioned it before. It's among the virtues of Salah. Prophet Muhammad says, this hadith, we'll see who, من صلى البردين دخل الجنة. Whoever prays, what's al-burdain? What's 2 salats are these?
Asr Fajr.
Asr and Fajr. If you pray constantly Asr and Fajr on time, look how simple, you'll enter into Jannah. Any other requirements? That's what the hadith says. And what's one of the most difficult salats? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says in a hadith, the meaning of which, من صلى الفجر في جماعة فهو في رعاية الله. I'm paraphrasing the hadith. Or كان في ذمة الله. Whoever prays Fajr in congregation will be under Allah's protection for that day. In another hadith, whoever prays Fajr will be under protection for, and again, it has to be on time. I'll tell you this story. Maybe you heard me last time I say it. This young man is attending a khutbah, and this hadith was mentioned by the Imam. Whoever prays Fajr in congregation will be under Allah's protection for that day. So he went home and he told Dad, I heard the Imam say, if you pray Fajr in congregation, you'll be under Allah's protection for that day. He said, yeah. He said, this is a sound hadith. Sahih? Yes, it is. He said, alright, Dad. And his father is a practicing man. You go to pray every day in the masjid? Yes. I want you to wake me up to take me with you to pray in the masjid. He's 11 years old, 12 years old or something, 11 probably. He said, okay, son. He said, but you promise? Yes, you're going to wake me up? Yes, no worries. Like, right, Fajr is early and then after there's school and all that stuff. So, okay. So they go to sleep. Next morning, the father, alhamdulillah, gets up, makes his wudu, and he wants to wake up his son, but he's comfortable, sleeping, cozy in his bed. Oh, so cute. MashaAllah. Yes, school today. Nah, it's too early, 5 o'clock. So he goes to pray and he comes back. Now his son is awake. Dad, did you pray Fajr? Yes. Did you pray in the masjid? Yes. Where's the deal we had with each other? How come you didn't wake me up? It's like, you got school today, don't worry about it. Just pray. You got time. Just pray and then take a shower and go eat and go. I said, Dad, but you promised me. I said, yes, but I saw you kind of looking tired. You spent last night at Melrose eating chicken tikka. Melrose, but yeah, you got school, don't worry about it. Tomorrow, Melrose is his favorite spot. It's a good place. So he went. So the son told him, he said, no, you have school. So he said, because you don't wake me up because of school, I'm not going to go to school today. And he was not trying to disobey his father. He was just like a young kid talking. So the father said, sure, you don't have to go to school today. Because he realizes, one of the branches of nifaq, what are they? Hypocrisy. If you want to know a munafiq, one of the branches is إذا وعد أخلف, إذا حدث كذب, إذا وعد أخلف. If he speaks or she speaks, they lie. And one of it is, if they promise, they don't fulfill it. When are you going to buy this from Walmart, Dad? Tomorrow, inshallah. Inshallah. Inshallah, right? So right now the kids, what's the equivalent to inshallah? And never going to happen. That's what it means. Right? Unfortunate. Right? So he realized that if you promise, you fulfill your promise. He told his son, you don't have to go to school. Next day, the father learns his lesson. He wakes up his son. They go to school. They go to masjid. Come back. The son, whatever. He prepares himself and he goes to the masjid. He goes to school. And this happened in the Middle East. First, second, third, fourth period or so. The teacher said, who didn't do the homework from yesterday, stand up. If you have an excuse or not. If you don't have an excuse, they hit you. And these hands can testify. I had my share of not doing the homework, and you get hit for that. And they hit you pretty hard too sometimes. So, yeah. The worst ones is when they flip your hands like this, instead of like this. Oh, holy crap, yeah.
Keep it on the table.
Yeah, see, you got the worst teachers in town. Yeah. Alright, so he said, get up. So he stood up with the rest of the kids because he didn't do his homework. So first kid, second, third, then his turn comes. And then the teacher asked him, did you do your homework? No. Do you have an excuse? He was absent. Okay. Did you ask your friends? No. Were you sick? No, I wasn't. So you don't have an excuse. Open your hands. Just like the rest of the kids get hit and more. The kid tells him, oh, you can't hit me. He said, why? Did you do your homework? He said, no. You have an excuse. No. Well, open your hands then. He's like, I'm telling you, you can't hit me. Okay, smart mouth. Teachers have a lot of clout back there. What do you mean I can't hit you? I can't eat you right now. Like open your hands. You didn't do your homework. So he said, I'm telling you, you can't hit me. So the teacher gets very frustrated. So why are you saying I can't hit you? Why are you saying that? And the kid responds, because Prophet Muhammad said, whoever prays Fajr in congregation will be under Allah's protection for that day. And today, I prayed Fajr in congregation, you cannot hit me. Yeah. So this is his interpretation of the hadith. I'm not telling you do that. Like, don't go pray Fajr in masjid and stand in front of a car. It's like, hey, you can't hit me. Yeah. But, and subhanAllah, actually the teacher has recognized that and he smiled, he learned something from him and let him go. He didn't hit him. Well, that's what I got from the story. But what did this kid do? What did he do?
He made the sila with Allah.
He truly believed in it.
Okay?
Connection.
Okay?
Taught the teacher.
What is tawakkul?
Tawakkul. He practiced. He learned one hadith and he lived it. Wallahi, if every khutbah we learn one thing and we practice, man, we'll be in a much better shape. But it's not about memorizing one more verse and I put it in the shelf. He lived the hadith. He said, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you pray Fajr in congregation, you'll be under Allah's protection. And I'm not saying he did the best application because he obviously did it. But at the end of the day, he said, he lived it. He took the hadith and he practiced it. He fully believes what the Prophet ﷺ said. If I pray Fajr in congregation, I'll be under Allah's protection for that day. كان في ذمة الله. There's no excuse about it. Oh, there's no doubt. You want to know the state of the Muslim Ummah? Just look at Salat al-Fajr. Really, dude. Fajr time, there's no traffic. Right? There's no work for majority of people. Right? Jum'ah, there's traffic and there's work. No time. A lot of people come. Fajr, no traffic. No work. Not many people come. But those who come for Fajr, that's where men are. رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَاهَدُوا. There's a big difference between رجل وذكر. Between a man and a male. Big difference between the two. Big difference. So for Fajr, because you go only for Allah, you're going to be going to socialize? You're going for Allah. And sisters, you know, Sister Muslim, she's not here, so I can't say that. You know, Sister Muslim, when she was 18, I know her from the MSA. So I was doing this seminar and going through, you know, one of the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, he said, it's best for women to pray at home. And if she's at home, she prays in her own room, she'll get more reward than even praying in the masjid. It's an authentic narration. The Prophet did not say you cannot go to the masjid, he just said you'll have more reward if you do so. So she asked me about it, and she's one of those who was committed to go to the masjid every Salat al-Fajr at the age of 18. She had her car, and she would go pick up actually her girlfriends, her friends, and she'll take them to masjid every Fajr. So we had the discussion. I was like, listen, I'm not thinking you cannot go to masjid, but there's more reward than that, but you still can go. There's nothing wrong with going to masjid. So she stopped going for the masjid for 3 days. She said she wants to get pray at home, more rewards for women. Then she emailed me, she said, Brother Munir, these were the worst 3 days of my life. Because I did not go to Fajr in the masjid. How many of us sisters want to get up and get up? Because it's hard when Fajr is 3:50 and Iqamah at 4:10 or 15 or so. But you know that's like the meter between your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Rabbi. It's not because the Shaykh is there is going to put a check mark for me, I came or not, I socialize, or I'm going only for Allah. And subhanAllah, the reward for that, Man salla al-fajr fi jama'a kana fi ri'ayatillah. You'll be under Allah's protection for that day.
Can I just ask you one question here? Is it Jama in the masjid or you can pray Jama at home?
Jama'ah is in the masjid. But
Only.
there's another narration for this hadith. If you pray Fajr on time, then you'll be under Allah's protection. And for sisters, definitely is you have more reward at home. So just praying on time. Just the fact praying on time. And for this specifically, brothers and sisters, Fajr is before sunrise. If you're praying after sunrise, that's not Salat al-Fajr. That's makeup of Salat al-Fajr. Once you have called Shuruq. You know, it's like 5:16 here. Once it's 5:16, I know Dhuhr didn't come in yet, but Fajr is done. You're making up Salat al-Fajr. Right? You know, if you go to college, if you miss the final, you can have a redo, but really 10% is off. Like, they remove that from the grade. I'm just trying to make it closer to you. Right? They take some points off. So after sunrise, it's you missing up. You already missed Salat al-Fajr. You're making up Salat al-Fajr. Alright, so among the virtues we said, some of the virtues. What did we say for the virtues of Salat? Erases sins. Right? There's a cure in it. Physically, psychologically, mentally. Right? One of the gates, one of the doors, one of the keys of Jannah. You'll be under Allah's protection. You'll enter into paradise. Whoever prays Fajr and Asr, you know, do regularly on time. Be consistent with it. Right? We're good? Virtues? Okay.
Financially.
Oh, of course. There's a lot of in Salah. There's a lot of virtues. But I mean, I'm just trying to build, so I'm building a structure right now. You know what it means. You know its importance. You know some of the virtues. There's benefit for you. Right? Physically, psychologically, mentally, health, and all that stuff. Right? And now also, we'll come to the, if we do not pray. You know, time is... Alright. One of the common problems we have, is we regularly combine Salah. And we regularly miss Salah. Alright? Just like there is virtues, and there is benefit, and there is reward, right? There's also punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used that in the Quran. He tells us that He will give us, you know, there's a concept of at-targhib wa at-tarhib. Will give us glad tidings and will show us things that if you do, you get reward for, and at the same time, if you don't do, there's also punishment as well. So it's telling you there's a reward, punishment, reward type of deal, right? So keep that in mind. So also, if we do not pray or combine salah, let's talk about combining first. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, listen to these verses. I'm sure probably all of us or the majority of us know. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. What's the following verse? Say that again. فويل to whom? فويل للمصلين. Woe to those who pray. So it's not the disbelievers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين. Have you seen those who reject the faith? فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم. He or she is the one who push away the orphan. ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. And they don't encourage, not just they don't pay, but they're so stingy they don't want even others to pay. They don't encourage one another. The community, like when a masjid says, no, we don't give donations to orphans or people in need, or no, it's only for us. Part ولا يحض. This is not giving, encouraging one another to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's part of the characteristics of those who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, they don't encourage one another to give. فويل للمصلين. Woe to those who pray. And Jews and Christians and right? Woe to those who pray. الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون. They are the ones who are neglectful of their salah. So Allah is saying there's a warning for those who pray that you are not. And that's فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون. They're the ones who are neglectful of their salah. What's the mufassirin say? Is it they don't pray? No, are the ones who regularly miss their salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Maryam, after He speaks of certain prophets, Sayyidina Isa and so on and so forth, at the end of, it's towards the middle of the section, He speaks of various prophets, right? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings this verse. فخلف من بعدهم خلف أضاعوا الصلاة واتبعوا الشهوات فسوف يلقون غيا. And He speaks of all these prophets and says فخلف من بعدهم خلف. Then after these prophets, their people who came after them. فخلف من بعدهم خلف أضاعوا الصلاة. What does أضاع mean in Arabic? Lost. يعني maybe meaning they didn't pray, right? أضاعوا الصلاة واتبعوا الشهوات فسوف يلقون غيا. They lost their prayer and they follow their own whims and desires. Verily indeed they'll be ducked in غيا, a valley in hellfire full of scorpions and snakes and so on and so forth. But the mufassirin say that's not أضاعوا, that means they lost, that means they did not pray, but أضاعوا وقتها. They did not pay attention to its timing. So Fajr is after sunrise, Dhuhr is with Asr, Maghrib is with Isha. I'm doing tawaf in the mall, I'm shopping, I have a business meeting, I have a big contract, I have a big sale, I have to, right? So times is, I lose track of my salah. And that's for those who pray, Allah is promising punishment because they're neglectful of their salah. I'm not talking about those who do not pray. Just like there's a reward, there's a punishment as well. So we are constantly, and I'm not talking about one-time deal, those who constantly miss and combine their salah, there's something wrong with that. There is something. Prophet Muhammad when he said when he was going on I think that he saw رأيت أناسا من أمتي, when he went to the Isra and Mi'raj, the meaning of which رأيت أناسا من أمتي تضرب رأسها بالحجارة ثم تجمع رؤوسهم مرة أخرى وتضرب. The Prophet said, I've seen people from my ummah, their heads are hit with stones, and it's very descriptive and graphic image. And it splashes and recollect again, and hit again, and recollect again, recollect again. Why? إن كانت رؤوسهم تتثاقل عن الصلاة, because they used to approach salah with heavy heads. They don't want to pray. They don't want to get up. And that's definitely one of the characteristics of the munafiqeen, as I think I mentioned in some of the verses. So just like there's a reward, there's punishment. So combining salah regularly, delaying it on a regular basis, is very problematic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'll end in terms of those who do not pray. How many gates of hellfire there are? 7. And how many for Jannah? So one of the gates of hellfire is called Saqar. You hear these verses in Surah Al-Mudaththir, I believe, right? ما سلككم في سقر. You know that verse? قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of Saqar, this part of hell, Jahannam والعياذ بالله. عليها 19 لواحة للبشر لا تبقي ولا تذر. It has 19 guardians. That section of hellfire. Right? It has 19 guardians. لواحة للبشر. Every time you dipped in it, it melts your skin from your bones and you get assembled again. عليها لواحة لا تبقي ولا تذر. Nothing is left from you. Allah speaks of the description of hellfire. Then Allah speaks of the description of heaven and the people of heaven. And then the people of heaven look at the people of hellfire. Because some of them, they were their friends. Their family members, maybe siblings, mothers, cousins. And they ask, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ? What led you to be dumped in hellfire? What is the first thing they respond with? قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. No, لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The first thing they say, we were not among those who used to pray. The first thing they say, not I'm not a believing man or woman, I was not among those who used to pray. And there's a section for such people. You know, and I won't say that to scare you or so. You know, if someone, and you should have, I hope everybody here prays. But if you have a friend, cousin, mother, father, which we all do, that don't pray, I want you to keep this in mind. نحن دعاء لسنا قضاة. We're not judges. We're here to call people. If you see someone to Islam and to their own goodness, if I see a blind man or woman walking in the street and there's a big ditch, and they're about to approach it and fall, what would you do?
Protect him. Guide.
Out of being a human being, right? Just kindness, out of love, out of care. Right? You won't let him go to hell just because he can't see or she can't see. And many of our family members can't see the truth. So when you speak to them, don't judge them, help them. Maybe some of us were at that point before. I was. كَذَلِكَ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that's how we used to be before. So realize Allah's favor on you that you are able to pray. And if you see them not engaged in salah and ibadat, make dua for them and try to guide them out of love. Not because I don't want to see you in Saqar. I don't want to see you there. So it's out of compassion and love and care. That's the stance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Out of care, he used to have this, heartache, if you wish, for his people. Out of love. Because I don't want to see myself in Saqar, nor I would like to see you. I'll end with the story that I mentioned back a couple months ago. In Jordan, where I grew up, I was born and raised in, there's a 17-year-old kid who was riding his bike and he got hit by a truck. And he died. And, they washed him up and they went to the masjid to pray on him. And when they went to the masjid they went to, they had people from, we call them in Jordan, al-Ahbab, or the people of Jama'at al-Tabliq, who were visiting. They come sometimes from masjid to masjid, town to town, sometimes country to country. So they had a sheikh from Kuwait visiting. MashaAllah, a well-learned brother, or imam. So the father asked, can you lead salah and come with us to the graveyard and bury him? And he said, all right. So they did so. They prayed on him, they put him in the ambulance. Here they put him in a nice limo, I guess, with roses. There they put you in an ambulance and take you to the graveyard. And the graveyard generally in Jordan, it's outside of the city. It's deserted areas or so. they don't have, like, at least in California, you have sometimes graveyards in the middle of the living area, or at least the older part of towns. So generally in Jordan, it's in the outskirts. It's an deserted area, a lot of, you see stray dogs and so on and so forth. So they took him, they prayed on him and they took him and they dug a grave, ready to call in advance. And when they approached the kid, the grave ready, they uncovered the grave and they see, and again, this is a true story according to my, it's not too scary, but for us to learn. And they opened the grave and there was a black snake in there. So, and that was in Medina al-Zaqa. If you know in Jordan, it's called the city, the blue city in Jordan, it's the outskirts of the capital. So the Imam said, people got scared, freaked out a little bit. So, it's a deserted area, such stuff, it's common to see such wild animals if you wish. So he said, cover it up, right? So, and let's dig another one. So they do so, they cover up the grave and they go 100 yards, whatever, there's another slot. They dig it, once it's ready, fixed, said bring the body. While they're transporting the body, bringing him, and they see that snake again in the new grave. And people freaked out and they rushed. A couple of the brothers were courageous enough. SubhanAllah, it had its own navigation system, and not from the top, it came from beneath. So, it had its own, and Allah gave her that GPS, if you wish. So a few of the brothers were courageous enough, they took a couple of big logs to start hitting on it. They killed it, or it appeared to them, and they put it to the side, and the Sheikh said, please hurry up, these are not good signs, let's bury him and leave. They put the kid in the grave, their position of, you have to have the qibla, the head towards the qibla, and so on and so forth. And while they're doing so, they hear a big boom, and the dust fills the horizon around the grave. And that snake wakes up and goes straight to the grave. So people were fixing him up. Of course, they got scared and they left. There's one man who's courageous enough. He wanted to see, because he's hearing something. Sometimes you have a paper and you move it, you hear some sort of cracking or so. So he kept peeking until he saw the snake is wrapping itself around the body of that young man and crushing his bones. And that's what he was hearing. The Imam said, please close it and let's leave. So they do so and they go home. The Imam had curiosity, he wanted to know what. So he goes to the father and he said, was your son disobedient to you, to your mother? Because uquq al-walidain, there's punishment in this dunya. One of the major sins, to be disobedient to your parents. No, he's a good son, good child. His mother, is fine. Is he a drug addict? No. Is he a fornicator? No. Is he alcoholic? No. How's he in school? Straight A. He's doing good. He's good to his neighbors. Not a thief, not a player, not a pothead. Strange. So the Imam said, okay, Jazakallah khair. He's about to leave, and then the father taps him on his shoulder and said, but he had one problem. He said, what is it? He said he did not used to pray. Jazakallah khair. Imagine that just in dunya, still he hasn't been gone into the grave yet. But Allah sometimes sends us signs. I think Imam Ibn al-Qayyim reports this. I believe it was, if I'm paraphrasing. One man was with his sister and she died, so he buried her right there. And then when he went back, obviously when he was burying her, his wallet fell off. So he went back and dug the grave and he saw his sister's body on fire. So he went back to his mom, so he started asking, fornicates, goes out with boys, blah, 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 blah. She told him, no. What's the problem? She told him, she used to combine salah a lot. We don't know if that's the reason or not, but that's some signs. Just like there's reward, there's punishment. And salah is the most important thing. After ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. See what I'm saying? So I know now what salah means. I know its importance in Islam. I know the virtues. I know the punishment. Right? Punishment if I delay it, and if I don't pray, period. hopefully I can build a structure around it. Now, when I want to pray, no, Ya Rabbi, I'm engaged in a relationship with you. I'm going to look my best, smell my best, do my best. Because I know it's important to you, Ya Rabbi. I know there's reward for it and there's punishment. So I can change the perception. Not I have to pray. I want to pray because I know. Right? Ramadan is coming. Huh? I'm not going to pray Tarawih in the masjid. I know this is very troubling for some people. I want to set the priorities right. I'm not going for Tarawih. I'm going for Salat al-Isha because Salat al-Isha is what's fard and Tarawih is what's sunnah. You understand what I'm saying? Even if I pray at home, it's okay. I don't pray, it's okay. I'm not saying you should not do it. But I want to fix the mindset. What's fard is what's important. Oh, I missed Tarawih. How about Isha? Yeah, I prayed home Isha. Really? You worried, as a young man, you worried that you pray that what's Isha is important. It's sometimes wrong understanding that we have that leads to disastrous results. So fard is what's important. Next time I want to pray, I'm going to focus on the elements. So I do it right. I know that it took a long time in this first session, but it's a very important session to set up for the outcome. I'll stop here inshallah. No questions. I'll give 10 minutes break or so and then we'll come back to the wudu part. Is that okay? Let's take a 10 minutes break or so. How about this? 8 minutes break? It's 12:23. Dhuhr is at 1:10.
Yeah.
We'll come back and try to do it. Alright, so the first question is, write down the fara'id al-wudu, the mandatory parts of wudu. That's question number 1. I want you to write it down. I'll write the answer. Alright, so, and the second question is, write the steps of wudu from A to Z. So first one is mandatory parts of wudu. And the second one, the whole thing, whatever you know. I'll give you a minute, inshallah.
Do we have to write like 3 times this and 1 time? Or just...
Question is clear, right? What do you wish? Write the mandatory parts of wudu. And second question is, why the whole process of wudu, including sunnah. Thirty seconds. No cheating either. You won't be graded. All right. We're good?
Yes.
All right. So what's the? So what are the mandatory parts of wudu? One hand. Any other hands? Okay, go ahead.
The mandatory parts are the mouth, the arms, the face, and feet.
Mouth, face, feet, you said?
Mouth, face, feet, and arms.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, any other takers of this?
First is the niyyah.
Niyyah, okay. What else? Question is very precise, huh? No talking during wudu. Okay. Hands. He's showing which hands you're referring to. Okay. He's talking about from the wrist to the tip of your fingers. What else? Mouth. The question is, what are the mandatory parts of wudu? Yeah, just say it. I'm not going to say you're wrong or something.
The Mediterranean face, arms, forehead, feet.
Niya,
Face,
feet,
face,
face,
arms, forehead,
forehead,
and hair.
hair, and
Feet.
feet. Okay. So she said intention, face, arms. Well, what? Show me which arms. Show me whatever the arm is. From where to where? Okay. Tip of your fingers to your elbows, and your head, and your feet. 2. Just up to the ankles, knees,
Between the
ankles. Okay. So she said 5 things. What's everything? I want to know what's everything. That's a good answer. Everything.
Yeah, arms, mouth, nose, hair, face.
Good. Okay. One final one.
For the arms, you have to do from the fingertips and then like hand like over.
Elbow. Right. So this question I asked all of you in very good answer. But still not complete, but very good answer. I think I asked this question in the majority of the sessions I did. Out of the 3,000-4,000 people, that's why I have wudu in session on wudu. I think 4 people got it right.
There's an ayah, by the way.
What?
There's an ayah, and give you, I think, after the niyyah, after the sister said, إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم. I think this is a farq.
What? Surah
I don't know. Yeah.
number 6.
Which is the intention. Then أغسلوا
The
وجوهكم.
intention is not in the verse.
No, it's not the verse, but I think it's one of the fara'id is the intention.
Okay.
Then the ayah. وإذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم. I'm sorry. إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم.
So the verse says,
وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 6.
Yeah, this is a fara'id.
So I mentioned in the 5,000 people that attended the various times throughout past 10 years, about 4 or 5 people got this question right. And we pray every day. That's why I have a session on wudu. Because people don't know what's fard and what's sunnah. So to answer the question, inshallah, I will come to them in depth, inshallah. And as I mentioned, I've been to many youth camps. And when I observe the younger youth, and youth I don't mean just like kids, generally our camps between, special range, college age students to 12 years old or so. Most of people don't know how to make wudu. Even if they know the steps, because sometimes how you define face or hand, and I'll come to it inshallah in the explanation. It's very problematic. So fara'il wudu, according to the verse, are 4, but they are 6. There's the intention is 1. I'll come to it. So is wudu fard or sunnah? First question. It's fard because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, right? If you get up to pray, you gotta wash these certain body parts. And these body parts is the face. The Quran says face, and the face, to define it to you, is from wherever the hair grows. Even if you're bald, still that's where the area is. You don't have to go back all the way here, right? So from wherever the hair grows around your face, right, including your chin, right? So if you have a hijab, it's up to here, huh? If you don't clean this area, and where the bone, this is the bone, right? There's the defining Hanafi, so where the bone is. That means your wudu is incomplete. If you have makeup on and you, right? Doesn't cut it. You gotta wash the face. If you don't want to wake up at Fajr and you and it's not necessarily you have to drench your face with water. فَامْسَحُوا يعني, so you have to wash your face. So with the face, wherever this is the face, okay? Face. The hands. وَامْسَحُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ. The hand, many people have it wrong, is from the wrist to the elbow. It's from the tip of your finger, right? If you don't wash this part, that means wudu is incomplete. That means salah is invalid. From the tip of your finger to the elbows, and the elbows are included, 180 degrees. What do men do all the time? Or sisters, alhamdulillah, right now we have something spread. Baby gap shirts, right? So the halfway hijab is, or Disneyland hijab to here, and you want to make wudu, and it's like, oh, I can't pull it all the way. Or somebody's wearing a dress shirt like mine, and I don't want to get it wet. So if you leave one spot here, this elbow is part of your hand. Wudu is incomplete, right? You have no wudu. So it's from the tip of your finger, elbows are included, and it's not only the top part, because many people go like this and leave this dry. You know, one time Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saw a man who prayed. He went wudu and came. He had a dry spot on his foot that he didn't. So he asked him to go back and make wudu again.
How can you tell?
I can't tell, but I'm saying he was able to spot it. But I mean, when you make wudu, I'll tell you when. We'll come to explanation, inshallah, when you make wudu. You know the drive-through wudu, people do that. Or wiping without making sure there's the whole body part. That's why I want to emphasize the fard part, okay? The fard. So this is your face, this is your hand, elbows are included, so you gotta be, and it's not just the top part, got on the back side as well. Both hands. The head, wiping it once. We'll come to the details, all of it, part of it, and so on and so forth, inshallah ta'ala. We'll come to the explanation. And the feet to the ankles, right? Including what's between your toes. You have to cleanse what's between your toes. The water needs to reach top and bottom of your foot. So, how many steps we said? 4 physical ones. Face, hand, head, feet, right and left. But before that, the intention, all right, and that is a crucial one. And the 6th one that was also not mentioned in the verse, but it's the sequence. I can't do my feet before my face because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them in sequential order like that. So I have to follow sequence. Okay? So fara'id are 6. My intention, I'll come to them in depth inshallah ta'ala right now. Why they're like that, and we'll come to the sunnah inshallah. Okay? And as I mentioned, many people do not know, they cannot differentiate between what's fard and what's not fard. I'll come to what's the benefit of that inshallah ta'ala, because sometimes you'll be stuck and whether it's no time or there's no water or and so on and so forth, that it's great that you only know the fard, so you do it. Alright, so what's al-wudu in terms of Shari'a perspective?
But I'm sure it's 5. Well, how 6 again?
Sequence.
Intention, sequence.
Oh,
Sequence is 4.
Mm.
Okay. So let me quickly go al-wudu shar'an. What's wudu from Islamic perspective? In Sharia al-Islam. هو استعمال ماء طهور على أعضاء مخصوصة قد بينها وشرعها الله تعالى. That you wash certain body parts with a clean water or with pure water in its original form. To wash certain body parts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in His book. So what's ma'un tahur first? Can I use soda to make wudu? No. So in a nutshell, water has to be in its original form. Okay? Snow would work also. It has to be, the color did not change. Alright? Doesn't have najasa in it, so the color did not change, and the smell. So it's pure water. Soda, juice does not work. Alright? Coffee and all that doesn't work. It has to be its original form. Alright? It has to be pure water. Yeah, mountain. Okay. So, does the lake work? Yes, lake is fine. Even if somebody peed in it, if it's a big lake, that tahara is not is still considered pure in that sense. The ones that, I don't want to go to Tahara issues, but if you have a bucket that has one drop or some sort of say urine in it and changes the color and smell, so that becomes not tahir. But you have to use water in its original form, okay, to make wudu. As I said, it's fard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the verse I recited to you, the verse number 6 if you want that. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the Sunnah said, لا تقبل صلاة أحدكم إذا أحدث حتى يتوضأ. Your prayer will not be accepted until, if you lose your wudu, until you make wudu. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إنما أمرت بالوضوء إذا قمت إلى الصلاة. That I was required to make wudu if I about to pray. So before I tell you the steps of wudu, I want to focus, just like we did with salah first, because sometimes it's out of laziness we don't do wudu properly, we don't understand properly. I want to mention the virtues of wudu. I want you to like it before asking you to do it. Alright? Because once I understand the virtue and the meaning, hopefully I can change from I have to I want to. One of the virtues of wudu. One, mahbul khataya. That it deletes sins, erases sins. In a hadith that's mentioned by Imam Muslim, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in the meaning of which, ألا أدلكم على ما يمحو الله به الخطايا ويرفع به الدرجات. Should I tell you about something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will erase your sins if you do, and will increase your status or levels in Jannah if you do so? One, إسباغ الوضوء على المكاره. That you do wudu properly even though with challenges and difficulty, cold water, time, and so on and so forth, that you do it. كثر الخطى إلى المساجد, if you walk a lot towards the masjid, and if you wait between adhan and iqamah in the masjid, that's also one among the things. But anyways, among the things also that when you approach that sin next time, Prophet Muhammad said in the meaning of which in the hadith, every time you make wudu, when you wash your hands, or when you wash your face, the last drop of water that drips out of your face, it erases the sins that you committed with that face. When you wash your hands, the last drop of water that washes away your sins. When you wash your feet, and this is a hadith mentioned by Imam Muslim, when you wash your feet, the sins that you get, again, minor sins, that will wipe away your sins. Darmul khataya. Every time that you wash up, that these minor sins are washed away, like an eraser if you do it properly. Another hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Again, I'm going to go quickly because of Salatul Dhuhr. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, listen to this beautiful hadith. He said, mentioned the hadith by Imam Muslim. He visited one time a graveyard. He was with his companions, and look at what he said. He said, وَدَدْتُ لَوْ أَنَّ رَأَيْنَا إِخْوَانَنَا. He said, I wish that we could see our brothers. And that's for, in Arabic, that's for brother, male and female. And the companions, you can tell from the response as if they were taken back. He said, أَوَلَسْنَا إِخْوَانُكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Aren't we your brothers, O Rasulullah? Like, isn't it us? He said, قَالَ أَنْتُمْ أَصْحَابِي. You're my companions. But إِخْوَانًا الَّذِينَ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بَعْدِ. Our brothers are the ones who they didn't come yet. How would you know me, Ya Rasulullah? These are the people who come after the Prophet Muhammad and they believe in his message and follow his sunnah and so on and so forth. Right? And the Prophet says that he can identify them on the Day of Judgment. And would inquire, how would you tell who they are, Ya Rasulullah? How can you tell? And he says, they come on the Day of Judgment, مُحَجَّلِينَ كَالْخَيْلِ مِنْ أَثَرِ الْوُضُوءِ. On the Day of Judgment, well, all that helter-skelter and people running around and so on and so forth, Prophet Muhammad would be able to identify you from the followers of Prophet Muhammad from the light that's coming out of your body parts that you used to wash during wudu. كَالْخَيْلِ الْمُحَجَّلَةِ. He said, if you are into sheep or goats or raising horses or so, he's saying, imagine like you have 1,000,000 horses, right? And there's 100 of them, they have some sort of a white forehead. They're all black and they have a white forehead on there. There's 100, one of a kind. So if you see these 100 in 1,000,000, you can tell them because it's so clear. That's on top of their jabeen or their forehead. And said, the mu'mineen who will make wudu properly in the Day of Judgment with all these billions of people, light will come out of their faces and their body parts. And Prophet Muhammad will be able to identify you on the Day of Judgment. If you do wudu properly. If you do wudu properly. Prophet Muhammad says, in the meaning of which virtues, look at the virtues how much. من توضأ فأحسن الوضوء ثم صلى ركعتين لا يسهو فيهما غفر الله ما تقدم من ذنبه. Rasul says whoever makes wudu properly and prays 2 rak'ats without being distracted during these 2 rak'ats, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will erase the sins of whatever he's done in the past. And this hadith Hasan mentioned by Abu Dawud. Listen to Sayyidina Bilal radiyallahu anhu. You know, Prophet ﷺ heard him, saw him walking in Jannah, Ka'bayn, and he inquired about Sayyidina Bilal. Ya Bilal, what led you to? And he went before any of the companions. I saw you in Jannah. What made you go to Jannah? Like while he's alive, he's telling that. I saw you in Jannah. Oh Bilal, what is it that you do that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already placing you in Jannah? And you look at the statement of Sayyidina Bilal, he said, ما أحدثت إلا توضأت وصليت ركعتين. Every time I lose my wudu, I make another wudu and I pray 2 rak'ahs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was his key to Jannah. You want something that is more of benefit? This hadith is, you know, how many gates for Jannah we said there are? 8. And these gates are named. Bab al-Rayyan, the people who give sadaqah, shuhada, they have a door. The shaheeds, the martyrs, they have a door from it also. Listen to this hadith. A shaheed has a door, like those who give sadaqah and so on, so they have a door also. Listen to this hadith. Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab narrates, and this is mentioned by Imam Muslim. ما منكم من أحد يتوضأ فيسبغ الوضوء ثم يقول أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله إلا فتحت له أبواب الجنة 8 يدخل من أيها شاء. صلى الله عليه وسلم. He says, Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab says, whoever amongst you make wudu properly, alright? Makes wudu properly. That's it. And then he or she, after they're done with their wudu, when she's done with her wudu, she says, or he says, simple dua, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Just say that statement. The إلا فتحت له. The 8 doors of Jannah are opened for you, and you're invited to enter to Jannah from whichever one you like. Imagine the shaheed has 1 door. But the one who makes wudu properly and makes that dua, what is it again? أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. The 8 doors of Jannah call upon you if you didn't make wudu properly. Virtues of wudu: you erase your sins, the doors of Jannah open for you. Allah, Prophet Muhammad will be able to identify you on the Day of Judgment. Light will come out of your body parts. Light. That's why Sayyidina Abu Bakr, what did he used to do? He said, where's the He would extend, not only cover the elbow, but go above the elbow and above the ankles. Why? He wants more of that light on the Day of Judgment. He'll go beyond. Because Prophet Muhammad محجلين كالخيل من أثر الوضوء. They're marked because of the remnants and the impact of that wudu. Their light coming out of their body parts. Alright, so we said fara'id al-wudu are I'll stop early so you can make wudu inshallah. Alright, fara'id al-wudu. First thing is intention. Second is, we said, washing the face. How many times? Once. Alright, I want you to pay attention to follow. Washing the face once. Washing the hands from the tip of your nails, if you wish, or fingers to your elbow once. Right and left. Masḥ al-ra's, wiping the head. This is a difference of opinion on this one. Alright? Sunnah is to go once and come back. In Shafi'i, part of wiping the head would suffice. In Hanafi, 1/4. Alright? Hanbali and Maliki say you gotta do it all. But the truth is, there's many incidents or reported that part of your head would suffice, inshallah. Alright? Some fuqaha will say up to 3 pieces of hair. I don't know how you can count that. But some fiqh people, they go too much in details. But the sunnah is when you go once, you bring it back. part of your head would suffice, inshallah. I will come to it after salah, maybe can I wipe with my hijab and so on and so forth. We'll come to that, inshallah ta'ala. And the fifth one, غسل الرجلين مع الكعبين, that you wash your feet, make sure between your toes is cleansed up to your ankles, including the ankles, of course. And the sequence has to be there. Now, Hanafi, Maliki, okay, Hanafi and Maliki said tartib, sequence is sunnah, not fard. So I'm telling you that. But based on my studying or so, I told when there's a difference opinion, I'll mention it, inshallah, that it's part of, you cannot change the order, you have to follow the order if you want to, unless you're Hanafi Maliki, it's a sunnah, but in my research, that you should follow the order for fard. What are the sunnah of wudu? I'm going to mention them quickly because we'll come to the questions afterwards, because this could be very good. Go ahead.
Mouth, your nose, and your ears.
Mouth, nose, ears, that's among the sunnahs. What else? Neck. Good debatable issue. What else?
3 times.
Doing things in threes. All the body parts?
Sunnah. All the birthdays?
Except hair.
Except
Ears.
for the fat.
Hair and ears. Okay. What else? So doing things in threes. Starting with the right.
Starting with
Okay, let me try to quickly go through them, inshallah.
all the Qarara.
Alright. So alright. One of the first things of Sunnah of Wudu, at-tasmiyah, saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Actually, Hanbali, it's fard. If you don't do it, it's incomplete. Why? Because the Prophet Muhammad says, La wudu'a liman lam yadhkur ismullahi alayhi. So some people take it literally. There is no wudu for the one who does not say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So Hanbali, they say it's fard, you have to. But in other opinions, that it's a sunnah, so if you miss it, it's alright. So we're talking about wudu, sunnah al wudu. We spoke first about fard, what's fard, or first about the virtues and what's fard, wudu, and sunnah. So the things to complete it, the ones probably that we're more familiar with, and when they teach us the whole part. So it's saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a sunnah. Hanbali says it's fard, and that's the first one that we started with. Second, and a quick thing on this one, I know some of us have hesitation to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For example, here in the US, many of our restrooms or bathrooms at home, the toilet is next to the sink. So can I say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim out loud or not? So you can, one of the opinions, and with that, Abdullah ibn Uthaymeen mentions that, see, the toilet back in the day, was when people used the restroom, and that's where generally there were no sinks in there. It's the toilet, basically. And when you're sitting on the toilet, that's when you should not mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on and so forth. Now, these days, the shower is actually in where the toilet is, or so. So if you're showering or by the sink, you just make a wudu. You can. If you have haraj or you have, still don't think that you should mention that, you can say it secretly, meaning in your mind, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and then you start with your wudu. Should be, inshallah ta'ala, no problem if you don't feel comfortable. But while you're in the toilet, sitting on the toilet, then you should not mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's that difference of opinion, and if your intention is just going there to make wudu, so you're not necessarily doing that. Alright, so, and if you forget to say it in the beginning, you can say it in the middle, Bismillah wa akhirah, also. Should be okay, inshallah. Second sunnah.
So you start with the intention, then Bismillah ar-Rahman.
Now I'm speaking about sunnah al-wudu.
You don't want to mix it together.
I will, at the end, inshallah ta'ala, mention sunnah al-wudu. These are the sunnah, the extra stuff that. Okay? So mention fard first, and this was sunnah. At-tasmiyah, so saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Another sunnah is a siwak, using the siwak. I know that's something that pretty much here in the US you don't see as much. What is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad? He said, السواك مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. Or كما قال Imam mentioned by Imam Ahmad. Siwak is will cleanse your mouth and will make Allah happy with you. Allah will be pleased with you if you do so. Some people might, oh, this is like, oh, back in the days you put a tree trunk in your pocket and you have this big branch and so on and so forth. SubhanAllah, one time I was traveling with one of the brothers, born and raised here, he was going to Berkeley. And we were about to pray, and he said, can you hold on a second? I said, okay. So he pulls up a Ziploc bag from his pocket that had his siwak in. This is a young man, again. So he picks it up, and he does the siwak and put it back in again. Some of the added benefit in it, when you hear this hadith, Allah will be pleased with you. Even for sisters, Sayyidina Aisha, what she used to do? When she takes the siwak of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she used to cleanse her mouth after him, and then she washes it and gives it back to him. She'll give it back to him. So even sisters will do it. SubhanAllah, the health of your teeth and gums is, if you're considering, we have something, I don't have a place to put it. Let's say, sister, you have a purse that has a 5-inch screen, and you have 10, 15 credit cards, and you have, what else, like a keychain that is bigger than, but we don't have a place for siwak. It's not that we don't have a place. Do I value it? Do I see it important? Do I want to or not? That's what it is. And so it's part of the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. One funny thing to mention, I forgot which ghazwa it was. Muslims were in a battle, and they were losing in the beginning. So one of the companions mentioned, we must be doing something wrong. What is it that we didn't do right? So one of the, it was against the rules. So one of the companions said, we did not do siwak today. So that's it. I forgot which husband it was. So they advised, like, for you have siwak, do the siwak. One of the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. So they did so. Some of the Romans, the spies were there, they saw them. So they went running towards their soldiers, saying, they're sharpening their teeth, they're coming to eat us. So let's split. And SubhanAllah, the Muslims won't have said that, but there's added benefits you can. So doing siwak is a sunnah. And if you see somebody saying, oh, this is old-fashioned person, no, this is someone following the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Washing the hands 3 times. And what I mean by the hands is the tip of your fingers to the wrist. This is a sunnah, it's not farz. So washing it is 3 times is also sunnah. Rinsing the mouth is a sunnah. And when you rinse the mouth, take some water. You don't have to go with the commercial. Back in the days, they had the got milk commercial. The guy will gargle, like that. Oh, you take a sip of water. You rinse your mouth, and you spit it out. That's the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make sure that you do cleanse your mouth. Al-istinshaq wal-istinthar. Cleansing your nose. And by that, for some of the brothers and sisters, that's from the inside, not the outside. So it's not like putting water on outside of your nose. Taking water in and sniffing it out. Now, Ramadan is coming. So some people go crazy with that. You don't have to kill yourself. Some people sniff it and start coughing and they can't. No. Actually, the sunnah in Ramadan, not to push really hard. So it's taking some water in and pushing it out. Okay? You sniff and you push with your left hand. You take it with your right and you sniff it out. Especially in Ramadan, make sure you don't breathe it in and then start coughing or take some water inside you will invalidate your siyam. So it's in a little bit and out. Now on this specifically, you can do it in 2 ways. You can do 3 times your mouth. You can do your nose. If you want to use the same water when you take a scoop, that's also recorded. That you can take some and then the remaining water in your nose and sniff it out. Both are, and as soon as you take with your right hand and you sniff with your left. For the brothers, takhleel al-lihya, making sure the water goes in your beard, especially for those who have longer beards, that the water goes through. At-takhleel. Takhleel asabi' al-yadayn wal-rijlayn, making sure that you cleanse between your fingers and your toes. Right? Can't whether you gotta cleanse between them. Sometimes we wear socks that will keep some cotton pieces in between or something. Make sure that you cleanse that. And, you know, if you do the drive through wudu, the foot like skipping in and out, making sure that the water skips and really cleanses your foot. And that's important. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, إِذَا تَوَضَّأْتَ فَخَلِّ الْأَصَابِعَ يَدَيْكَ وَرِجْلَيْكَ. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you make wudu, make sure you cleanse between your fingers and between your toes. Doing things in threes is also from the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So that means, but there is, we said, the head only once, and the ears only once. Even though the head is fard, right? But it's only done once. Everything else you can do it in threes. At-tayammum, starting with the right and the left. It's from the Sunnah of Prophet. So you wash your right hand and your left. At-tayammum. Mash al-udunayn, cleansing your ears. You don't have to pour water inside here. Basically, you make your index finger and your thumb fill them up with water, put on them water. And then you cleanse the inside and the outside as well, right? So you go in and outside as well. And how many times you do that? Once. إطالة الغرة والتحجيل. Basically is increasing above and go beyond what's required. So we said the elbow is required, right? All the way. Now increasing a little above that is from the Sunnah. That's what I mentioned. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu used to go a little bit above. And same thing with your feet, above the ankle as well. You can go above, right? So you will making sure that the water reaches everywhere, and especially the bottom of your foot. Sometimes many people get that dry spot there. You want to make sure that water has to reach every single inch or centimeter or whatever there is millimeter in there. That's when you have, because it's fard. Foot is fard. Water has to reach there. There's this, the last one here is something called al-muwala, which basically not just the sequence, but making sure that you don't have major interruption between when you wash a certain body part and another body part. Picking up the phone sometimes is okay, but not speaking for 15 minutes and then continuing. In Maliki and Hanbali say that's fard. For basically you can't start wudu and then go for 10 minutes and go continue from where you stopped. For them that's invalid because the other parts have really dried up and you took a longer time. So al-muwala is doing in sequence, like you start, finish. In Hanbali, in Hanafi and Mali and Shafi'i, it's sunnah, okay, that you do it right away. Don't make a lot of stoppages. Sometimes there's an urgent matter, your kid fell, you pull them up a few seconds, and so not a long time. Just make sure that the rest of your body parts don't dry up. Basically, you go for a longer part of time, half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. That's al-muwalat from the sunnah.
Sequences. Fard.
We said that. So I mentioned fard. And we'll come right now if I want to make wudu. So if I want to make wudu right now, I combine both. Can I have one of the young men here show me an illustration? We just discussed it, so let's see who can make wudu properly. Yes? No? Everybody scared?
Muhammad, let Muhammad do it.
What's your name?
Nabil.
Nabil, come up here. So I want you to take the mic, or I'll hold your mic. I want you to show them how to make it. Go. Yeah. So if you want to make wudu right now, we're about to go Salat al-Asr and say, what would you do?
First,
If you don't have wudu.
first make the intention of doing wudu.
First then, no.
First make the intention of doing wudu.
And how do you do intention? Let me actually focus on that. Well, what's intention? Do you have to say anything?
Bismillah.
So intention, the place, where is the place of intention is in your heart. You don't have to say, nawaitu ana tawadda. Actually, that's, in some opinions, that's bid'ah. So intention is in your heart, okay? Just you intend to do so. And intention is really crucial. Because intention differentiates between what's sa'ada and the ibadah. Between what's a habit and a ritual. I just prayed Dhuhr and Asr myself. Okay? If I did not pray behind the Imam, I would have prayed 2 and 2. right? What's the difference between the 2 rak'ahs? Between Dhuhr and Asr? Nothing. But my intention is the difference. It differentiates between ibadah and ibadah. My intention, Dhuhr is 4 rak'ahs, right? And Asr is 4 rak'ahs. I'm traveler, I combine them, I'm making 2 into shortening them. The difference is that my intention, this one is Dhuhr and this one is Asr, right? If I take a shower, Mike and Joe and Angelica, whatever, they take a shower in the morning, right? And they're clean. Can I consider that wudu? They're not Muslim. No, even if you take a shower like them, because you have to have that intention that it's meant for that purpose. See what I'm saying? Intention differentiates between what's a'ada, right, and the ibadah, a habit and a ritual. And they also can differentiate between different fard of time, if you're traveling. Intention is something in your heart. You don't have to utter with your tongue, but you're making sure you, alright? I'm sorry, I did not mention that earlier, so that's it. So you have the intention that you're going to make wudu. Then?
You have to wash your hands 3 times.
So combine the sunnahs. We want to go to the whole steps. We say this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And then wash up to the wrist 3
Sure,
times.
sure, yeah. At the rest, 3 times?
From fingertips to the wrist 3 times, both hands.
Good.
And then you take water into the mouth 3 times.
Good.
Then into the nose 3 times.
Okay.
And then face 3 times.
Show me the face.
Up to the forehead and in behind the ears as well.
Not behind the
Oh,
front of the ear.
yeah, the bone.
Yep. Wherever there's the bone. Right?
And then chin.
Alright.
And then you take water up to the arm.
So after your face, you wash your hands.
Yep, hands up to the below elbow.
Cover
both
the
hands, yeah, cover the elbow. Both hands 3 times.
Alright, good.
And then take water behind your ears 1 time, or head.
Head first.
Head first.
Okay.
And then feet 3 times.
So after the head, your ears.
Ears.
And then?
Feet 3 times.
Good.
Or in between the toes.
Should we do anything else after that? One of the virtues I mentioned. Dua. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. So I wanted to combine both the fard and the sunnah. If I'm making fard, I have my intention. I'm saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I wash my hands, mouth, nose, face, right? And then we go back to my hand, head, ears, feet. Now, I did not mention one of the sunnah in the neck. I know earlier one of the brothers mentioned the neck, right? You should wipe your neck from the back of your neck. So, in Hanafi madhab, sunnah is to wash or to wipe on your neck, the back of the neck, not the front, making sure that just the back of the neck. Based on, so that opinion exists. Based on, again, I will tell you the opinions and you pick, inshallah. Based on the stuff I've done, not necessarily seeing an authentic narration for that. It does exist in the Hanafi, the madhab, and if that's what you've been taught and that's what it's fine, it's there. But based on what I've read and researched, it's not really part of the sunnah. And when those is part of the sunnah, it's the back, not the front. The front actually is extremely disliked, bid'ah. Right? So you wipe once and they will become after the ears. But from what I've learned and researched, this opinion is weak, but it's there. Okay? So I'm not saying yes or no. For me, I don't do it, but if that's what you subscribe to, it's fine. One question for you here. What nullifies wudu? We should have a very good debate.
What's about the masah al-khuffayn?
We'll come to that in the Q&A.
All right.
What nullifies your wudu? Alright. I know one of you has it. You're going to tell me that funny one. What nullifies your wudu? If you have wudu, what breaks it? I'm sure you know, you guys. Put your hands up. لا حياة في علوم الدين. You can say it. There's no...
Going to sleep, for example.
Deep sleep. MashaAllah. He knows what hurts him. Okay.
Bleeding.
Bleeding. Good debatable point. What else?
Throw up.
Throwing up, vomiting excessively. Debating. Okay.
letting gas, or going to the bathroom, urination or
1, 2, 12. Yeah. All right.
excretions.
All right. That's good. What else? One al-fajr wudu. Gotta know that if you pray.
Intimacy and all of that.
Intimacy. Sexual relationship. What else? You guys don't know? Okay. Shy. طيب.
Abusing.
Huh?
Abusing also will break your wudu.
Abusing?
Yeah.
Um,
Not bad words, fighting and blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Interesting one. Okay. So, what breaks your wudu? Anything comes out of your private parts. Right? So, urine, semen, blood discharge if ladies have a monthly period. Anything comes out of your private parts, urine, feces, blood discharge, semen, المني, الودي, anything like that, anything comes out of your private parts, it breaks your wudu. Deep sleep breaks your wudu. Falling unconscious breaks your wudu. Sexual intimacy breaks your wudu. And I will come to a few of them that sometimes there's debate or so. So when we speak, I know that few of them mentioned, and I would like to discuss those because they can become sometimes a point of question. Bleeding, does bleeding break the wudu or not? So in Hanafi school of thought, any cut where the blood overflows the cut, not just stays in it, but it expels, then that breaks the wudu. However, it's reported in numerous that if you think of the companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, how many of them were in a battlefield with wounds and with prey? Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab was in Salat al-Fajr when he got stabbed. One of the statements, or one of the known narrations, the companions, or they were in a battle, and one of the companions, it was him and his friend, were assigned a post. And he loved Surah Al-Kahf or so. He was praying Qiyam al-Layl, and his friend was sleeping while he's awake and he's holding that post. And then the enemy witnessed and they saw him and they targeted him and they hit him with the first arrow. And he kept on praying. And he hit him with the second arrow and he kept on praying. And the third arrow, and then he fell and he woke up his friend, and his friend told him, "How come you did not wake me up in the first time?" He said, I love this surah so much, and it's better for me to have my soul depart my body rather than me departing this surah. And the only reason I woke you up, is because I don't want the enemies to enter into attack the Muslims from this area. He was praying while he's bleeding, and there's many incidents that the companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ kept on praying while they're bleeding. There's a difference of opinion, it's there. I believe it doesn't. That's my personal belief based on what I have seen. Based on the many numerous incidents, again, that the companions of Prophet ﷺ, that they were bleeding and especially the small cuts or so. And they kept on with their salah. Touching your private parts, this is also another one is debatable. Let's say I'm taking a shower, or finish taking a shower or so. And there's a difference of opinion on that as well. Because there's a hadith, one narration that if you touch your private part, then it will nullify your wudu. And there's another hadith where Sayyidina Abu Bakr, discussing with Prophet Muhammad and then Allah Prophet tells him it's your private part, especially men, let's say just another piece of flesh, part of your body. So if it's touched with a sexual intention, then definitely breaks your wudu. Mas al-farj bi-shahwa. People would play with themselves and so on and so forth. Again, I know there's younger kids here, but that's لا حياء في علوم الدين. We should learn one. If it's touched with a sexual intention or so, then that would break your wudu. If it's not, just drying up itself, showering or so, it should be alright. Touching people of the opposite sex, that's also a debatable issue. Sometimes you go by Burger King or In-N-Out and you give them the money, you keep putting your hand down, you don't want to touch your hand because you're going to break your wudu, and right? Also that, so in Shafi'i, for example, touching people of the opposite sex, it breaks your wudu, sometimes even for your spouse or so. The truth is that there's a difference of opinion, but what's the rajah, that doesn't break your wudu. Unless it's with a sexual intention or there's a sexual thing approach to it. It was mentioned many times, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, even he would kiss Sidna Aisha. Not with this, like let's say he's going to Salah, he would kiss her on the cheek and would go pray. Sidna Aisha, one time she got up and when Prophet ﷺ, he was praying and he was not sleeping next to her, so she looked for him and he was in the state of sujood and he had his foot, standing, she put her hand against his feet, something like that. So, and some people of course reference the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lamastum nisa, that if you touch women that you should, kind of renew your wudu. And the different explanation on this part. Here lamastum linguistically you touch, but here to say the interpretation here actually if you sleep with your spouse, sexual, there's that intimacy part of it, then that would break the wudu. But if it's a common thing, then touching like that, so that should be no problem, inshallah. If you believe otherwise, let's find the other opinion is there. Won't hold it against you, but there's many incidents that show that it's not. All right, so let me open this for about 15-20 minutes on questions, because I know that you would have some specifically on this, like al-masih, for example, is one. Or anything that comes to mind. I'll open it. Go ahead.
Shower. Exposing nudity before wudu. Can I just go into the shower? Part of the shower is wudu, or at the end of the shower is wudu?
Are you saying can you make wudu while you're
Showering.
while you're nude? Is
Yes.
that okay or not?
Yes,
It's no problem, inshallah.
but you're not dressed in the shower. It's okay.
I don't see. There's nothing that I know of that says you can't. Actually, you can consider. Sometimes they say if you take a full shower, you can consider it as a ghusl. Actually, ghusl, part of it is you make wudu and then you consider it. It's not a problem. From what I know. And by the way, so this is, if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Right? So there's nothing wrong in saying I don't know. And fiqh generally is very dry. That's why, the second, third session, I put them in the middle. It's very dry, and there's a lot of Q&A and stuff, so, but let's see. Any other questions on wudu? Masih. What's the requirements of masih? Alright. Try to simplify it to you, inshallah. Am I allowed to wipe on my socks? Shoes if you want, right? Masih is allowed. There are conditions for that. So let me start with the first one. I'll go to it, inshallah. Masih is allowed on your socks regardless of their thickness. Some will tell you have to have the leather socks and so on and so forth. That's an opinion based on the research I've done. Even if you have holes in your socks, thin socks, not a problem. You can make masih on them. In order for you to make masih, for the muqim, the one who's resident, you have up to 1 day and 1 night. And if you travel, you have up to 3 days and 3 nights. After that time, you'll have to take them off and wash your feet and then wash your hair. Now, you're allowed to make masih as long as when you put the article, clothing, the socks, when you had wudu or ala tahara. You understand what I'm saying? So you make wudu, say, I wake up today for Fajr. I got up, made wudu, prayed my Fajr, I dress up, put my socks, I go to work. Right? Now I have wudu. Now I lose my wudu. I release gas. And then time for door comes. Can I make wudu or I use the restroom? Can I make masih on my socks? Yes, you can. Because when you wore that sock, you had wudu. So you can make masih on it. Alright? So lipsum, you have to wear it while you have tahara. Alright? You can't just put your socks on and you have wudu and you can make masih on it. That will not count. You have to have wudu. There's another condition that's not necessarily adopted by everybody, that that you have to have the intention that you're going to make masih on it, but I mean, you have that. So that's why when you buy socks, like my intention is to make masih on you for the rest of your life. I'm joking, but- So you wear your article of clothing while you have wudu. Once you take off, let's say I made wudu, right? I put my socks on, the door came, I wiped on them. And I take off my socks. Do I have wudu after I made? No. Once you take off that article that you made wudu on, once you remove it, that wudu is invalid. Okay? Because you wiped out. And masah is only on the socks.
Not on the shoe.
You can't say I'll do masah on my shirt. In ibadat, everything is haram, but what's made halal. Yani there's whatever Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet ﷺ taught us to have. So can I apply masah on my shirt? No, I can't. What we know of is on your socks. And for ladies, on your hijab. On your hijab as well. Some people want to sneak in their hands. If you're at the park and you want to make wudu, right, you sneak your hands, it's up to you. That's doable, but you can make masah on your scarf as long again that you have wudu and you put your hijab on. You can make masah on your scarf. So you take it off. I mentioned the timing, how long you can do it for. What else? The thickness, we mentioned the thickness part.
Shoes,
Shoes, you can make masah on shoes.
socks, shoes.
Yeah, you can and the way to do masah and the shoes part is debate on that. So as long as, or should the shoes be above the ankle too? So your socks need to be above your ankles. Because we have now these tiny socks right now, they do like, I don't know what they call them, ankle socks or so, and even some of them are below the ankles. So the ankle should be covered with your socks. The shoes, there's a debate on that. You can, even some of them actually you can wear sandals and make masah on them. I mean, recently researched that. But you can masah. The way to make masah, so Sayyidina Ali says, the meaning of which, if everything is biologic, when you make masah, you should make masah from below. That's not everything biologic. When you do masah once. You don't have to drench your socks or foot with water. You have water in your hand, and you make masah on the top of your foot. Okay? On the top, once. You don't have to do the bottom part. You can, but you don't have to. But masah is once. This will suffice, inshallah. Alright? And on the left foot as well. Again, once you make a masah on an article, then once you take it off, the wudu becomes invalid. I would advise always make your masah on your socks, because if you have to take off your shoes or so. Or if you're in a park, for example, you can. You pray with your shoes, no problem. That's all I have. Okay.
Can we need to do over the nail polish
Nail polish.
or clothes?
Sure. From what I know, it's not allowed.
Even if
Anything that prevents, I heard there's some new nail polish that water will seep through or something like that. So from what I know, you cannot make wudu over nail polish.
even if you had wudu before you put the nail polish?
Exactly. You cannot, the applicable, and again I want to emphasize that. Masih is on what we know in ibadat. We can only do what the Prophet allowed us to do. Alright? So because one time one of my friends, he went to the wudu and he saw a brother is wiping on his shirt. So I told him, oh, may Allah, he made dua for him, oh, you're sick or so you can't wash your hands. He said, no. So but you're wiping on your shirt. He's like, yeah, which one? Like, you can wipe on your socks, why not on your shirt? It's like, that's not allowed. It's like, what do you know? Just get away from here. I'll do whatever I want. It's not up to us. When it comes to ibadat, we have to do what we're allowed to do, what we're taught to do. I can't add something or decrease something. So wiping with nail polish or washing nail polish, it's not acceptable. More questions?
Once a female is on wudu, how exposed can she be to her spouse?
Once, say that
A
again?
female is on wudu, how exposed could you be to your spouse?
There's nothing that I
Is covering your hijab has to be once you're on wudu?
know. Wudu is not invalidated unless, again, the ones we mentioned. So let's say your spouse is wearing lingerie in front of her husband. That's not a problem. Unless there's a sexual advances that happens. That's what invalidates the wudu. Let's say kissing happens or making out or whatever it is. Then that's what invalidates the wudu. But dress, it's not a problem. Even if it's not even not wearing anything, that does not invalidate. I mean, he's your husband.
What's about makeup?
Tell me what you want to know about makeup.
I'm just asking.
It's fake up. Can you wear makeup on top of your wudu?
Not me, of course.
You're wearing it on top is not a problem. But now, can I make wudu over my makeup? And that's where the problems are. It's like nail polish and stuff. From what I know, not acceptable. The thing is, when you make wudu, the water needs to reach the original body part. Okay. So my understanding, I'm not sure. Like lotion, for example, the water it's okay because the water will reach your skin. Nail polish doesn't have that layer, so it does not allow for the water to reach that natural part of the skin. I'm not sure how it is with makeup, but I know there's now 7 layers and foundation and so on and so forth. And for what something for sisters, like I know, and you see that people they go for parties and so on and so forth, and they put makeup on, and now she lost her wudu and she wants to pray, and she doesn't want to ruin her makeup, so she starts. That's my wudu here and here, and so you will not fulfill the obligations of wudu. Now you don't have to, as long as you have to fulfill the obligations of wudu. So if you have a party, so make sure that you have your wudu in advance. Then put that makeup on.
But the foundation is like lotion.
Yeah, so I don't know, as long as if the water goes, touches the skin, and does not these foundations or these layers don't prevent you from it, then I personally don't see a problem with it. But if it does, then it's a problem.
I think there's some kind of mascara. It's waterproof. So if someone put it, I think it's like make her wudu in that.
Okay. Anything against prevents you from reaching the original state of, then it's problematic. And that's why nail polish. Because I recently heard that somebody came up with nail polish that's halal. They call it halal nail polish. So, anyway, you know what? Outside the house, makeup should not be worn. That's what I believe in. And of course, unless you're with females, at a party with females and so on and so forth. But wearing full makeup and going outside the house should not be something to be done. That's what I believe in. I know some people will oppose that. It's your thing. But that's why I call it fake up. That's what it is. It's fake. All right. Other questions? Good?
Wudu is invalid for, what's the exception for medical diseases? They take medications, they're letting their gas out every 5 minutes.
So those who have chronic problems, there's exceptions for them. So they say, make wudu and pray. Even if you release gas, just keep wudu yourself. Because these guys can't control. And it will be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never made religions very difficult. Haraj, that. If somebody have a chronic problem, then they speak to someone with knowledge between Shari'i and between tabib, doctors as well. It's impossible. Then these guys have an exception, right? And it's different than all. But these guys have. And I've known people that have the issue, or heard of people that have such issue. You can't control it. So one thing, you guys, I'll mention this. I want you to specifically mention the fard part. Because sometimes we're in positions, like let's say you're at the park, or the sister, she can't read, or you're at high school, it's difficult to make wudu or so. So it's okay to make fard and don't feel guilty about it. Just washing one time the face and the hand. And actually sometimes I personally practice it intentionally, so I know, like this is what's fard and it's okay. Right? You can't do that. There's nothing wrong with it. And that will kind of reinforce it. I know what's fard and what's not fard. Sometimes you're in the mall, you can't really 3 times and take 5 minutes or so, right? Just do what's fard. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Time. You woke up in 10 minutes for Fajr. There's not much time. Do what the fard and pray. It's okay.
So you do wudu fajr, you break your wudu, but you have your socks and shoes. I'm talking about masa. You go to urination, you excrete, you can still do masa.
Yeah, nothing wrong, as long as you didn't take the
The
socks.
sock.
You have up to a day and a night. Alright, let's break for 5 minutes and then we'll go to the third session, inshallah. Okay? It's Rami's fault he did not buy pizza. All is his fault. Alright, so Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. How are you going with the pace? Is that okay? We're too slow, You're okay, you guys? Alright, so we'll finish 2 sessions now. So, meaning, importance, virtues, and punishment in terms of salah. And we spoke specifically about wudu in depth, the fard, the sunnah, what nullifies it, and some questions. Alright? So, if I want to pray, there's something called shurut al-salah, or arkan al-salah. There's something called the prerequisites of salah. Alright? Certain things need to be met in order for me to pray. And there's mandatory parts during salah, arkan al-salah, they need to be met. What's fard in salah. And this is also a fiqh session. I'm going to try as much as possible, inshallah ta'ala, to keep it engaging. And then we'll go to the khushu' part, inshallah ta'ala. I would need the young men there who play with their hands to kind of, yeah. You know what, I'm a rough young man here. If you want to talk, I have no problem. You can go talk outside. But if I'm speaking, then you need to zip it. Is that okay? Okay. Sorry. Alright. So as I mentioned, there's prerequisites for salah. Do we have college age students here? Anybody in college? Alright, good. So in college, there's required classes, right? English 1A and English 1B, right? Then you have to take a test. If you don't score high enough, you can't take that English 1A because there's something called prerequisites, right? And if they see you enrolling in that class, they'll drop you off because you did not take the prerequisites. In salah, there's something called prerequisites. You can't pray without them. They have to be met, right? So what are some of the things that are prerequisites for salah? Things that you need to do before you pray. Young man. Good. You mentioned one of them. Wudu. What else?
Intention.
Intention. We'll come to that. Okay, what else?
Location.
Satrul awra. Dressing properly. What else? Adhan. I said pre before salah. Adhan? You saying? Okay.
Like,
Takbirat al-ihram? Okay. What do you say? Qibla, facing the Qibla. Very good. What else? Huh? Tahur. Being clean. Nice. What else? 3 young guys in the back. How about you come sit up front right here? Blue shirt, white shirt. Yeah.
Time.
Timing. Alright, so there's something called prerequisites. Shurut al-salah. If they're not there, they're first one. So for the sake of time. Al-ilmu bidukhul al-waqt. Time has to be in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nisa, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. Quran, Allah says in the Quran, prayer is prescribed in certain specific times. Can I pray before time? One time I was given the session, one young lady, she told me, my grandma wakes up early in the morning, 3 in the morning, so she wants to pray Fajr before Adhan. Can she do that? You can't do that. One time my friend was chatting with him several years back, and he told me, I want to, hey, you want to watch Spider-Man? I don't know which movie it was. Spider-Man? I don't know. One of the movies. So no, sorry, I don't want to go. And by the way, what show you going to see? It's like at 7:50, something like that. And Maghrib is around 8:05. So dude, you're gonna miss Maghrib like this because the movie's like 2 hours long and there's not much time. He goes, no, I'll pray before I get into the movies. It's like, how? How are you gonna pray? Like, yeah, it's fine, I'll just pray and then I go to the movie. It's like, dude, you can't pray before that. It's like, no, I'll pray and then I'll go watch. It's like, you can't pray before time comes in. He was serious, he was not joking. So we can't pray before time. Actually, last week, or one sister, she texted me. She said, oh, I prayed and actually Adhan is coming in 2 minutes. Is that okay? Or do I have to repeat? You have to repeat. You can't pray before time. Right? You cannot pray before time. So time has to be in. After Adhan, I can pray. You can't pray before time. Right? Unless if you're traveling and you're combining, that's a different story. Time has to be in. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. You have to pray in specific and prescribed times.
What if you didn't know it was time, so you prayed, and then later on you found out you have to redo it?
Yeah, Salah is invalid. You prayed wrong. Especially if you found time. You found it in the time that is still there. Of course you have to redo it. Because time is not in, so it doesn't count. Of course, if you verify 100% that you did it. Right? First one. So second one, so time has to be الطهارة من الحدثين. You have to have cleanliness from the major impurity and the minor impurity. What's the minor impurity? It's when you lose your wudu, so you make wudu. That's the minor one, right? And we spoke about that in detail. And what's the major one? الطهارة من الجنابة. And that, what's al-janaba? Is ladies coming off their monthly period. So which requires not just wudu, ghusl. That means you have to, the whole body needs to be, you wash your whole body with water. For men, ejaculation. Having a sexual intercourse for a married couple. These things require and constitute full bath or ghusl, it's called, right? The way of ghusl, basically water needs to touch from the top of your head to your toe. The sunnah for it, you make basically, you start with wudu. If you have the intention, you start with wudu, finish wudu, and then try to wash your right side and your left side. That's what ghusl is. It's not complicated. But the water needs to basically touch every aspect of your body, right? It can't be a spot that is dry. 3. Now we said the purity. Now the third one is the purity of الثوب والبدن والمكان الذي يصلي فيه. That's also an important prerequisite. The purity of the clothes, your body, and the place you're praying in. And on this one, I want to pick sometimes on the brothers, sometimes on the sisters on that aspect, just to, because there's certain things that we do unfortunately that cause us not to be pure. On the clothing part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ. So that's the sort of mudaththir, that your clothes need to be pure. Not have any impurity on it, not have any feces, any urine or so. And I'll come to how that happen. Prophet Muhammad in terms of the badan, he says, تَنَزَّهُ مِنَ الْبَوْلِ فَإِنَّ عَامَّةُ عَذَابِ الْقَبْرِ مِنْهُ. Cleanse yourself after urination. The majority of the punishment of the grave is due to the fact that many people do not cleanse themselves after urination, using the bathroom properly. طهارة المكان, the purity of the place. One of the things Allah privileges, Allah gave Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the whole earth is a masjid, right? You can pray anywhere except the bathroom, where there's najasa, there's a little najasa. So can I pray in a park, there's dirt, yeah, it's okay. There's dust, it's fine. This carpet, somebody spilled coke on it, not a problem, alright? Najasa is, again, mean of impurity. There's feces, there's urine, that's what najasa is. Let me pick on the second point, taharat al-badan, and the clothing part. Especially, so when we use the restroom, and sometimes the masajid restrooms are disastrous, worse than public restrooms at times. For the guys specifically, تنزه من البول. The sunnah of Prophet ﷺ that he taught us that we use the restroom, urination, while sitting down, not while standing up. It is reported that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did use the bathroom while standing up. When he was in an area that is pretty filthy or so he would not have anything on his clothes that he urinated while standing up, while making sure that no splashing and so on and so forth on his clothes. Now, on this part specifically, brothers, so if you are in the bathroom, you go inside, especially your house or in a masjid or so, when you pray, like this is normal. Like, see, if you take a bottle of water and you have a cup of water, you pour in it, what happens?
Splash.
It splashes. Alright? You may not see it or feel it, but it does splash. So and if it splashes on this toilet seat that you're going to sit on or someone else is going to sit on, you make your wudu invalid or their wudu invalid. If you go to a urinal, standing urinal, and it splashes on your body or your clothes, you'll be impure, which means salah is invalid because there's that impurity there, that you're not pure. Okay? It's impure. So you have to, the Prophet ﷺ says the majority of the punishment in the grave is because people don't cleanse themselves properly. You know, I travel a lot. Used to, maybe not as much right now. But honestly, it's not about how you dress. Some people might be wearing suits, but wallahi, they enter these bathrooms in the airport or so, wearing a suit, they don't even wash their hands. They're peeing in that urinal and splashing everywhere probably. And sometimes they do the report, they have these UV light and show where all the urine actually is around, where that urinals and stuff like that. It's disgusting. Like, I will not touch a doorknob in a bathroom in a public place because I see how people react and how they behave. So you have to be extra careful with it, especially your own house bathroom. Sitting down, making sure, even after you use the bathroom, making sure that you cleanse your private parts properly. You use water. Somebody's like, oh, not a big deal. Yeah, subhanAllah, when you're thirsty, you pay $1 so you can quench your thirst. When you carry these big purses or so, but you don't have a small bottle or something where you need to use the restroom that you can fill it up and cleanse yourself, which we should be keen on doing so. If you don't have the means, fine, napkin will suffice. Try some people will whip the napkin and then they cleanse themselves. But it's important that you do try your best that you cleanse yourself properly. Whether it's 1 or 2 or so on and so forth. Many people they take a dump or use the bathroom and wipe them a little bit and then they get up. And there's some remnants of that feces or their underwear and so on and so forth. You gotta watch for that. Because that will invalidate your salah if you don't cleanse yourself properly. If you don't use water, people don't know how to aim, so it's splashing everywhere. Right? It's unfortunate, but something you have to pay extra attention to that. Because guess what? If you don't see it, if it's in your clothes, salah is impacted. Same things for the sisters as well. You go to public bathrooms and so on and so forth. You gotta watch out, making sure that you're using the papers that they have, or the toilet seats, and so on and so forth. Use water if you can, definitely if you can cleanse yourself. It's really important you do so. Another thing, flushing, right? What happens, when many of these toilets, when you flush, actually sprays fall, which gets in your clothes and body. Yeah, you have to pay extra attention to that. Maybe you should get up first, close the lid, if not, put the paper on top of it, flush it so it doesn't spray on you, right? You need to pray. And then you cleanse yourself and so on and so forth. It's important that you pay attention to this stuff. Because if I'm impure, or my body, or my clothes, some people have to drag their jilbab or their pants and they go in the bathroom and they just capture everything that's on the floor there, especially when there's impurities. You gotta pay attention to that, right? I'm not saying things that you don't know, things that you have control over, at your house, at your work, and so on and so forth. Pay extra attention for that. Cleanse the seat before you sit on it. Make sure that you really make sure that the urine is all out or the feces is all out, and you cleanse it properly. If you can use water, please do so, because it does impact your salah. Make sense? Right? And I know this is a major problem with the guys. Major problem. They just pee, not caring, just zip and leave. And while some people have discharge after they pee or urinate. Little remnants, they didn't squeeze enough, they didn't, and they will come out while they're praying and will make what their wudu is invalid. We have to pay attention for that. I know for the ladies, when there's some discharge sometimes come out, so make sure that whatever it is that you're wearing, use extra pads or use water to cleanse yourself when you are about to pray. You remove these pads that have some discharges in them. So you can be clean with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 4 is sitrul awra, that you cover your body parts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constituted that you should be covered. For men it's simple, from where your belly button till your knees, cover your knees. For women, So just I picked up on the guys, I pick up on the sisters as well. Is you cover your whole body with the exception to your face and to your hands. And in Hanafi, also your feet as well, the bottom, I mean, your foot, not up, but the actual bottom of your foot is okay. وعند الحنفية ظاهر القدمين, your feet, I mean your foot can show, even the top part, what shows from it is okay. In the Hanafi school of thought. But here, brothers and sisters, I mean the description, or sisters specifically, what's hijab? Some many of us think of hijab as a scarf. Hijab is not a scarf. Scarf is part of it. So there are two conditions for hijab that we should think of, and you measure against that. لا يصف ولا يشف. Does not describe your body, not tight, skin tight. I think I don't know if there's that term, skin tight, right? Or kind of looks like a body spray. Right? I don't know how some of these pants to get into them. Allah, maybe they put Vaseline so they can go through them or so. But it can be skin tight. It has to be fluffy. And so la yasaf doesn't describe your body figure, shouldn't. And la yashif, it's not see-through. Alright? Many of us right now go shopping at Baby Gap. Alhamdulillah. You should cover your hand, but you see it's up to here. And hijab, the neck is showing. And so on. Jazakallah khair, I know that you're trying, but that would not suffice. It has to fulfill. Right? You cannot show your above your ankles or stuff like that. The skirt is not long enough. I mean, you're buying a shirt, make sure that it's long enough. That's what you're planning to wear outside or while you're praying. So the hijab needs to fulfill these requirements. I'm not telling you everything has to be jilbab or abaya or something. No, it doesn't. But as long as, I mean, every culture has its, or the color, for example, color scheme. No. Dress the best, wear the best. The best, or Calvin Klein matching clothing, color code, and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, can I wear pants or not wear pants? Well, if you wear these fluffy pants and you wear the shirt is long enough, maybe up to your knees. There's no specific. Different cultures and different cultures. Like if you go to Sudan, should we be wearing black all the time? No, you shouldn't be wearing black all the time. That's in Saudi Arabia. That's fine. In Sudan, they wear very colorful stuff because it's pretty hot, and they wear yellow and pink and all that stuff. As long as, again, the requirements is met. Actually, sometimes, if you wear all, you have to feel what the culture is. Like if a Saudi sister wears the all black and covers her face in Sudan, she'll be the like a lone sheep in there, because like everybody will be looking at her because she's not wearing what the norm is, right? In that area. But as long as you think of these two requirements, it's not see-through, and it doesn't describe the figure. It's not like CNN gets you the description with the finest details. Then use like some people, I don't know, wearing clothes, mashallah. I know some sisters will come to the fourth session, like, I can't make ruku' properly because you're wearing tight pants, you can't breathe, man. I think you can't make ruku'. Yeah, of course, I know. So you gotta fit these requirements. Satr al-awra, fill these requirements. And the fifth one is istiqbal al-qibla. Alright? So even some sisters, sometimes they don't wear hijab. But when it comes to pray, right? So I mean, I'm not asking, that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you wear it or don't wear it. But when you come to pray, you have to fulfill the requirements of hijab, right? Because you're meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's asked you to do it. You already put the effort and made wudu and facing Him. Why not do it to the best? Right? The excellence. That I really cover, I'm not showing my neck, I'm not showing my ears, I'm doing it to the best because I'm meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I meet Him according to what He wants, how He wants to see me. Fifth thing is istiqbal al-qibla. I have to be the direction of the qibla. هذا شرط لا تصح إلا الصلاة به إلا فيه. So that's a requirement. Prayer will not be accepted unless that you mean it. Unless there are some exceptions, for example. If you're flying in an airplane and time for salah comes and you will miss it, international, so you can't tell. So then you're confined within your seat. Fine. You're on a train, you can't get up, right? And you will miss salah because sometimes it happens that the travel is 10 hours and you'll miss dhuhr and asr if you do that, especially winter time. Salatul mukrah, salatul marid, those are sometimes disabled, they can't really move. So there's exceptions. Salatul khawf, when there's people in the war and stuff like that. But generally, if I'm working in this place, I've been working for 5 years, and I don't know the qibla, come on. You go to school for 2 years now, and you don't know what the direction, where the Qibla is. Allah is everywhere, they will say. It doesn't work this way. You're at the mall, you have your beautiful smartphone, you downloaded 10 games of apps, or 50, or I don't know how many you downloaded. Alright? You couldn't download the adhan, the one that can tell you where the Qibla direction is. It's like, I don't know space, no memory, really, but Angry Birds has memory play for you, but you don't have space for it for you. Can you buy a compass, a normal one that you can tell? You're at your own house and you can't tell the Qibla, or you're missing it by 10 degrees. Why are you missing it by 10 degrees? I mean, it's fine. Generally, it's even acceptable whether the direction of the Qibla, right? I mean, here it's simple sometimes, even if you don't have tools. West is here, east is here. I'm going to be praying northeast. Okay, I'm in this range. And if you don't hit the center, I'll hit the corner of the Mecca or something like that. But be in that direction. The point is, I should try to find out where the Qibla is and meet that Qibla. Unless there's no way for me to tell. I'm outside, it's cloudy, which probably happens all the time here. I don't have any compasses or so. Pray. Make sure you pray. Even if you don't know where, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well aware of where you are and what you're doing. Any questions on that before we jump to the Arkan al-Salah itself? مهند عندك microwave? You have microwave? Can you heat this up a little bit? Okay, any questions on this? No questions? Okay. Alright, so these are prerequisites of Salah. Alright, so before I pray, I have to have my wudu, my clothes are clean, my body's clean, I'm facing the Qibla, I'm covering properly, right? Now I can, and time has to be in. Now I can pray. What are the mandatory parts of Salah?
Intention.
Intention is one. What else? I think you mentioned one earlier. Takbiratul Ihram. What else? What's mandatory in Salah?
Surah Fatiha.
Fatiha. You all pray, right? So you gotta know something. Go ahead. What is it that you do during Salah that you think is fun? Young man. At-Tahiyat, al-Shahad. Okay. What else?
Sujood.
Sujood. Anyone? Anything? Ruku. Huh? Yes? No? Alright. So we'll try to mention them, inshallah ta'ala. So first day, intention. Alright? And intention, as mentioned again. So Maliki say it's a rukun. Maliki and Shafi'i say it's a rukun. Now, rukun means it's part of the actual salah. Okay? Hanbali and Hanafi say it's a shart, it's a prerequisite. So it's like because basically it's before you saying Allahu Akbar, so it's a shart, means it's a prerequisite. And Maliki and Shafi'i say it's a rukun, it's part of the actual one. The intention is a rukun, it's part of salah, it becomes invalid if you don't pray, alright? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. They're not asked but to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely for His sake. So intention is the key to what? Sincerity. Alright? Intention is the key to sincerity. And we said intention differentiates between what? What did we say? How many rak'ahs we pray Sunnat al-Fajr?
Two.
Two. And how many rak'ahs is Fard al-Fajr? So intention does differentiate between Sunnah and Fard, right? Because everything else is the same. Right? So at the same time. So it differentiates between a 'ada and a ibadah and a ibadah and a ibadah. It differentiates between a ritual and a habit and another habit and a ritual and another ritual. Intention is crucial. It's very important that you have that intention. That's in your heart. You don't have to say it. So, second one. Takbiratul Ihram. What's takbirat al-ihram when you say Allahu Akbar, entering into salah? I'm going to try to mix this between what's sunnah and what's fard. Raising the hand is sunnah. Saying it is fard. Okay? Saying is fard. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, مفتاح الصلاة الطهور وتحريمها التكبير وتحليلها التسليم. The key to prayer is having wudu, being pure. Everything becomes haram in salah from eating, the normal stuff, eating and talking, and right? When you say Allahu Akbar, takbir, takbirat al-ihram. وتحليلها السلام, and everything that becomes haram when you're praying becomes halal again once you say salam, taslim, saying assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alright? So takbirat al-ihram again, the actual statement is fard. Raising the hand is sunnah. To learn something about sunnah, right, I'm going to try to mix it so you can learn, inshallah. Alright? Where should I raise my hands to?
Above your shoulder.
The ears.
Ear. So you see a lot of people go like that, they go like that, like that. See the lazy ones? I'll try to get up. See some people go Allahu Akbar, right? See that? See some people go Allahu Akbar. You see some people. All these hayat. I want, because you see them a lot in the masjid. You see people. So the sunnah is, right? The sunnah is. You want me to hold the mic? Get you. Guess what the tape is. Alright, sunnah is. We're facing the qibla, right? Your hands, your palms are facing also the qibla, either next to your shoulders. That's one of the reported, or next to your your head, if you wish, your ears. Some people go like that, some people go like that, some people pick in their ears or something. You'll see a lot of variation. Some people do things. Some people lazy ones do. Allah. Right? The sunnah is one or two. Right? Either this, you don't have to go like this, you don't have to go like this, you don't have to go like this. Some people go like this. It's facing qibla, one or two. That's what's important. Now, if someone doesn't fulfill that properly, alright? It does not negate their salah. I want to make this clear distinction. What's fard? That's why I mentioned what's fard and what's sunnah. There's something called hayat as-salah. Hayat as-salah, you see people doing this? Allah. Some people say it in ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, some people will say it from the whole tashahhud, right? Unfortunately, Muslims became so intolerant to the point is when they mix what's fard and what's sunnah, if you see someone doing something different than what you've been doing, you think that they're doing their salah. How many, have you seen somebody praying while their hands down?
Yes.
Alright? A couple of years back when I was here, Imam Fuhaib, I think, let's salah here with his hands down. You see some people put their hands here. Right? Difference of opinion. And what I want you to focus on when I go through what's fard, to differentiate between what's fard and what's sunnah, because in the sunnahs you'll see a lot of differences. Okay? You'll see differences. And if it's hayat, these forms, okay? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he prayed 11, 12 years or so. Salah was prescribed in the 12th year, 11th year, Hijri or so, for quite some time. And he prayed sometimes using different forms. Sometimes he's in the battlefield, so sometimes he's not in the battlefield. And the companions, sometimes he's tired, sometimes he's not tired. The companions were very keen on reporting everything that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Sometimes he will have multiple ways and means of doing one aspect of it. Actually, but subhanAllah, Muslims became so intolerant. Like I'll tell you some stories about it, like the fingers, for example. So one of the narrations, if you say it from the beginning, right? And it's like very difficult on reciting when you do that. Another narration, you do it when ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan rasulullah. So one guy went to pray, and the guy starts from the beginning. The person next to him is so bothered by it, so he held his finger and he cracked. Yeah, so bothered. One guy, he prayed, he came in while they were praying, and one guy came and he isdad while his hands are down. So the guy next to him, he wants to tell him to put his hands on his hands. The guy is not reacting. So he goes, wants to tell him like in your chest. He knocks him backwards. And there's many instances like that. I want you to differentiate between what's sunnah and what's farz, because you will see these differences. And as long as they fit within the boundaries of Islam, it's okay. But it's reported. Some people do crazy stuff. As I told you, you see some people go like that. You see some people, or some people say, and some people are, they follow their imams. So one time, someone I know, like he saw a man is praying and he's like sitting awkwardly, like spreading his foot and so on and so forth. So after he finished, the sheikh asked him, said, "Oh, may Allah cure you. Your foot is hurting." He's like, "No." He said, "How come you're sitting in such an awkward position?" He said, "I saw the sheikh, my imam, praying this way, so I'm praying like him." It's like, maybe he has a broken foot, like you want to pray like. That's an imitation with blindness. That's not like praying like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So some things that they do, but I want you to focus on what nullifies salah and what does not nullify salah. Even sometimes if these hayat are wrong or not necessarily following the sunnah, but they don't necessarily invalidate salah. Okay? But we want to focus about validating our salah. And on top of it, I want to do the sunnah properly. So if I'm saying Allahu Akbar, no, I want to do it properly. Not Allahu Akbar or halfway.com or lazy one. I want to do it. I want to get the full reward for it. Okay? I'll try to do that as much as we can. So Takbirat al-Ihram is fard, saying Allahu Akbar, entering into salah. Right? It's fard. Now raising the hand is sunnah, and that's the form.
Like we have to say the takbir like Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
لا هذه إقامة. You mean إقامة.
Iqama before after niyyah? No. You just
No.
take
Niyyah
and say takbir and start praying.
So that's what's fard. So in the masjid, right, there's adhan and there's iqamat as-salah. If you want to also pray at home, you can do iqamat as-salah. But after you do the iqama, you make sure your intention is in place. Takbirat al-ihram. But you don't have to. If you miss it, it's not fard. Okay? I want to focus on the fard. Right? Even in the masjid, if they leave without. And it's a sunnah to do that. Okay? So takbirat al-ihram, mandatory. Shurut, it's called arkan as-salah. That means if any of these things is not there, salah is rukn. The principle is not there. Third, al-qiyam, standing up while praying, is fard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. Stand up for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah. As long as you can do so. So there are certain circumstances where you can. In an airplane, on a train, right? If you fly in, you're on a train for 10 hours and Dhuhr and Asr comes in, let's say you took a 10 a.m. train till 6 p.m. and during winter, that means Dhuhr is going to come at 12 and Asr at 3. You have to pray, you can't just you can't combine it with Maghrib and Isha. So you have to sit down, because if you stand up, you probably knock your head off or something, or you're on an airplane or something. So standing, as long, unless there's an exception. Again, you're on an airplane, you're on a train. If you're driving, you can't stand, you can't stop and stand, right? You can't make that stop and stand. So that's not an excuse. If you're sick, you have a back pain, broken leg or so, you can sit down. All right. In Sunnah prayer, you don't have to stand up. You can pray while sitting, but you get half of the reward. But if you're doing fard, you stand up and pray. So al-qiyam, all right? Standing up. Recitation of al-Fatiha is fard. And you are?
Yeah.
Good. Jazakallah khair. Fatiha. Prophet Muhammad said, "La salata liman lam yaqra bi Fatihatil Kitab." There is no prayer for the one who does not recite Surah Al-Fatiha while they're praying. Now, which means you have to say, I know this one might confuse some people, and then try to explain. Especially when you are in Jama'ah. So in Hanafi school of thought, right? If you're praying behind the Imam, his recitation suffices for you. Right? So that's why most Hanafis don't allow time between. If you go to any Desi masjid, you'll see that. Many of my friends, they don't allow you to read after they recite Al-Fatiha out loud. They say, especially in a Jahr prayer, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr. They don't give you time to recite it, and then right after they're done with Fatiha, they go to the next surah, so you don't have time to recite. The Imam's recitation suffices for the Ma'mum. It's good enough. Maybe not just Hanafi, but I think more than that. So it suffices. If you're praying alone, you have to recite it. Okay? If you're praying alone, you definitely have to recite it. If you're praying in anjahri prayer, like this silent prayer, what you're going to do is just recite it behind the imam. But this school of thought in Hanafi has a very comment on this one. They say it doesn't have to be necessarily Al-Fatiha, it can be anything from the Quran. And why they say that? Because there's a verse in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Read whatever is accessible to you from the Quran. Now this opinion, I see it very befitting to new Muslims. Right? Someone embraces Islam today, and they do the Shahada, you tell them, want to pray with us. Tell them your prayer is invalid until you memorize Al-Fatiha. Not logical, right? Not logical. Maybe they embrace Islam because they know Surah Al-Ikhlas, Qul Huwallahu Ahad also. So part of the Quran will suffice. Until then, learn. Right? But if we, alhamdulillah, many of us have been Muslims for many years, or we're born Muslims also, we recite Surah Al-Fatiha. We have to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Try to do it eligibly. Are you really recognizing what you say? Read it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Try to pronounce. The pronunciation has to be proper as well. Try your best. So reciting Al-Fatiha is fard. 5. Ruku' is fard. And I'll mention that. Inshallah, something to focus on. Ruku'. I mean, we see this type of ruku'. Tight pants ruku'. Or see people going all the way, stretching ruku'. The ruku' is fard, okay? Now, what's the requirement of that fard? Something called at-tama'nina. It's not about how many times you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Sunnah is to say it how many times? 3. But it's not about how many times you say it. One time, Prophet Muhammad, one man came and he started praying, and he told him to pray again. Pray again, pray again. He said, "Oh Allah, that's what I know. Like, what else do I need to do?" And he told him, you should make wudu properly, fistaqim, and say Allahu Akbar, read Al-Fatiha. And he did all that. He said, and when we say Allahu Akbar to ruku', what did he tell him? Say Subhana Rabbi 3 times? No, he told him, Hatta tatma'in. He told him along the lines of, until you reach the stage of tranquility. And they scholars say that at least there's a minimum of being able to say Subhanallah once. State of tranquility means that your bones need to lock in these joints, you're not moving anymore. Do you see this? No. Just walk into any masjid sometimes right now, people praying Sunnah on their own. Or maybe watch yourself. Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. While they're moving. They didn't even allow a second to settle. But the point is you have to settle, not moving anymore. You have to not move anymore. The bones need al-tama'nina, the bones need to settle in the joints. There's no movement. Right? There has to. If not, then salah is a problem. You have a problem. Settle in. Saying Subhana Rabbil Azim is sunnah. Even if you don't say it, your salah is okay. Alright? The minimum you should say once. Sunnah is do 3 times. But you have to reach a state of tama'nina, tranquility. You're not moving anymore. Sunnah is, when you do it, you look at where your place of sujood is. Okay? Back needs to be flat. Because you see this ruku' all the time. See this ruku', you guys? Tight pants, lazy people, ain't suffice. They say like they should be able to put a cup of water on your back. If you can't do so, and should stand still. So being lazy, wearing inappropriate attire won't cut it. You gotta go down, look at the place, don't go down. Some people put their head between their, I see that. Start looking back and stuff like that. Some crazy stuff. Put your hands on your knees, alright? You can spread them if you wish. Look at the place of sujood, and you say Subhana Rabbil Azim how many times? 1 or 2. 3 times. Minimum of 1. Let's say 3 times, you can do 5 or 7. Odd number, basically. But you need, the minimum is to be able to say it once. Standing from ruku' is fard also. What I mean by that, سمع الله لمن حمده. You see this many times? سمع الله لمن حمده. People go down to sujood. Same requirement. سمع الله لمن حمده. One's needs to settle. Any movement that you did not reach tranquility in, problem with salah. Right? You have to lock up. So, سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد. Right? I move. But you see this all the time. سمع الله لمن حمده. People still like, they're already bending and going down before they even reached. You gotta get up. Right? The statement is sunnah, but the standing itself, getting up is fard. And then you go down. Alright? So, standing from ruku'. Sujood. Same thing, you have to reach the state of tranquility as well. There's 7 bones that should be touching in the state of sujood. 1, 2, 3. The forehead and the nose. You see people making sujood like this? They want their nose, they want to smell the carpet, or they put their nose without putting their forehead. Disgusted or so. Has to be like this. This is considered 1. The bone, the forehead, and your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your toes. 6, 7. If I show you a sample, I should be doing. So maybe here. So if I'm doing sujood, can you see you guys? Sure. So I'm doing sujood. Now the placement of where the hands are, just like when we say Allahu Akbar, either next to my shoulders or next to my ears. So this is 1, or this is 1. Okay? You pray sunnah, you can go extend like this. You are in jama'ah, better to be inside so you don't bother your people next to you. The back of your feet, you see that? Sunnah is to keep them next to each other. Alright? And you see how my toes are? So I'm not like this. That's how the sunnah is. I'm making sujood like that. Alright? Is that okay? Good enough, you guys? See? So these are the 7 bones that you should be making sure that this is 1. Okay? Your nose and your forehead. Sitting between the 2 sajdas is also fard. Again, the same requirement. See people all the time. Getting up. Allahu Akbar. There's a dua if you want to say, if you don't have to. And then Allahu Akbar. Sujood, same again. Same thing applies to Subhan Rabbi al-A'la. And sujood, same thing applies to Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Minimum of 1. You have to have that timing of 1. You don't have to say it, but you minimum 1. 3 is the sunnah. You say Subhan Rabbi al-A'la, Subhan Rabbi al-A'la, Subhan Rabbi al-A'la. But many of the problems of, maybe we do all salahs properly, but because of the speed of salah, we invalidate all salah. Alright? I advise everybody who changes position from position to position, breathe. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. It's not about how many times you say it. It's that period. Because some people say, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Like, Subhanallah to the power of 3 or something. Really, it's so fast that you can't get that tranquility that you want. Right? In sujood, same thing. Between the 2 positions, it's like that fraction of a second or so. Give that tranquility, and then go back. Because the speed of salah, if you're praying 4 rak'ahs in a minute and a half, it's difficult to capture one, right? It's very difficult to do. So al-julus bayna sajdatain, sitting between the 2 sajdas is at-tama'nina. Al-qu'ud al-akhir, the last sitting also is fard. Meaning in the last sitting, if you're praying 4 rak'ahs, it's the 4th rak'ah. Because in the middle one is sunnah. If you miss it, you don't have to sit back again or do your salah. But the 4th, in the last rak'ah of prayer. In Maghrib is the 3rd rak'ah, and Isha is the 4th rak'ah, and Dhuhr and Asr 4th rak'ah, and Fajr is the 2nd rak'ah. التشهد الأخير, saying التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات, right? أشهد أن in the first part. So the tashahhud is at-tahiyyat Allah wa salatu wa tayyibat. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiy wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan rasulullah. So that's part. And as-salatu ala nabi. Hanafi and Maliki to say is sunnah when you say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. But I'm here still listing it as Shafi and Hanafi, Shafi and Hanbali, that's part of the part listing it that you should say. There is different forms of saying that. It's reported that Prophet again. There's different variations. The one I know, for example, Tahiyyatu lillah, salawatu tayyibat, assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiy wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. That's the one I read. There's other variations. As long as it's reported, it's fine. Okay? Just make sure there's something. So you say that. Now, that movement of the finger, so that's the sunnah part. Okay, saying it is. Now you move it with ashhadu an la ilaha illallah or the whole time. Both, there's narrations on both that you can do both. Shouldn't be a problem, inshallah. And when you sit, the sunnah is, so you have one hand here, one hand kind of reaching like that. You see that, you guys? And then one do that also. It's one hand flat, one hand kind of. Okay. Saying salam to your right hand side is fard, to the left is sunnah. That's also from fard. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The way you do it, because some people do this, right? No. The Prophet, it's reported that the companions used to see the whiteness of the cheek of Prophet Muhammad when he says salam. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah or assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He would move. Some people see this, right? The bubbles in one. Yeah. Here we go. So what's fard is the right, sunnah is the left. Okay? And again, we mentioned the hadith of Prophet Muhammad, Muftah Salat Tahur, the opening prayer that you have tuhur, and then everything becomes haram. If you say haram, and everything becomes halal once you go to sleep. And the 13th thing is tartib al-arkan. Fard is you follow sequence. You can't do ruku', sujood before ruku' and so on. You have to follow sequence on that part. That's what I have. And I want to go, let me open it for Q&A, right? For the last session. Because I might assume, I tried as much as possible just to get to the fard part and make distinctions between sunans and hayat and movements. But I'm sure probably you will have some questions or so. I'll stop here. Let me know if you have any questions specifically. So if I want to pray, I want to demonstrate, right, with the movements. So I'm facing the Qibla, right? My intention, Allahu Akbar. I recite the Fatiha. Should I recite Surah Qasira or after Al-Fatiha? It's not fard. You want to do it? Not? Okay? But it's recommended sunnah is to recite that in the first 2 rak'ahs. If you're praying more than 2 rak'ahs, so in the 3rd and 4th rak'ah, you just recite Al-Fatiha. Okay? So I recite Al-Fatiha. I recite Surah after that. Allahu Akbar. So now there's movements. Now when I move, also raising the hands again. Here or here. Allahu Akbar or Allahu Akbar. ركوع سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم سمع الله لمن حمده. Some people do سمع الله لمن حمده. Okay? I move Allahu Akbar. Still sujood. Here. سبحان ربي الأعلى. سبحان ربي الأعلى. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I get up Allahu Akbar. We repeat that. Right? Let's open it for Q&A.
Sana subhanaka, sunnah. Is there
a statement?
Statement after takbir.
Oh, دعاء المفتاح الصلاة.
Sana subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika wa tabarak ismuka wa ta'ala.
That's called مفتاح الصلاة. The key. That's what. Yeah, it's a sunnah.
Sunnah.
Yeah. It's something called key of prayer. مفتاح الصلاة is دعاء الاستفتاح. Yeah.
So do I need to say, if I don't say Ameen with the Imam, Surah Al-Fatiha, is okay? I just listen. Do I have to say
Because
Ameen?
Hanafis,
Ameen.
they say it silently.
You have to say Ameen.
This. Hanafis, they say it silently. They don't say it out loud.
No, no love. I mean, some people, some cultures say Ameen.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, Hanafi style, I think they do say it out very silently.
Silent Ameen, that means you complete it.
Yeah. So Ameen is not part of Quran.
Okay.
But it's my understanding, and we can check with the Sheikh. You know, the angel, because you're making a dua,
Right.
Fatiha, and the angels will say Ameen, so you say Ameen. So, but and I do it personally. So
If you have a gap between the Surah Al-Fatiha and the Surah, because Imam gives the gap for, do I recite Surah Al-Fatiha again? Or no? Or
So,
what do I do with that gap?
difference of opinion, right? So the Imams, if you're, for example, Shafi'i, if you are praying behind Shaykh Zayd or Ziyad,
Yeah.
Maghrib prayer, I think he would leave time between Al-Fatiha and the next surah. He would leave like 30 seconds or so. I personally recite. You don't have to. Again, if you're following the Hanafi madhab, again, that does not invalidate your salah. But some people, because if you stick to the hadith saying, La salata liman lam yaqra bi al-kitab, so there's no prayer for those who do not recite of the mother of the book, which is the Fatiha, then that makes it, right? So that's why they leave room to recite. But if you're the difference of opinion, you don't have to. But if he's giving you room and you would like to, there's that room.
I don't know, how do you do the jama when you're traveling? I don't really get that part.
Okay. Jama'.
If you can explain more.
Sure, inshallah. Okay. So jama' means it's combining. So Allah subhanahu, just keep in mind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's mentioned in the hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى رُخَصَهُ كَمَا يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى عَزَائِمُهُ. Paraphrasing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves for us to use the exceptions for the leniency in certain areas as much as He likes you to do it to the best, to the fullest when it's normal timing. So one of these leniencies is while you travel. If you travel a certain distance, there's two rules. There's something called qasr, as-salah, which is the fixed one, which basically you're shortening salah. This is called jama', that you combine and qasr. So let's focus on the qasr one. The Hanafi, for example, they don't do jama'. Qasr is basically you shorten salah. Fajr is 2 rak'ahs, you don't shorten it. Okay? Dhuhr is 4 rak'ahs, you shorten it to 2. Asr is 4, shorten it to 2. Maghrib is 3, you don't shorten it. Isha is 4, shorten to 2. Alright, so Fajr and Maghrib remain the same. Dhuhr, Asr and Isha, instead of 4, they become 2. Alright, normal salah. And you pray it each one separate. That's Hanafi style, that's what they do, like you don't combine. Now, so that's qasr, okay? Shortening.
You don't pray sunnah, just the farz.
You don't pray sunnah. You don't have to pray sunnah, but there's 2 sunnahs that Prophet Muhammad did not leave, whether he was traveling or he was home. And this is sunnah al-fajr and witr. Okay? These 2 you don't. Now, that's for qasr. Now, I'm Shafi'i, or a difference of Shafi'i, other opinions, that you can do jama' and qasr. What does that mean? When time of dhuhr comes, I can pray my dhuhr 2 rak'ahs, and once I'm done, I'll make iqamah and I'll do my asr 2 rak'ahs. Right? I combine the timing, but I'm not combining the salah. I mean, 2 rak'ahs and I finish with dhuhr, then I will get up and make iqamah and pray my asr at the time of dhuhr. Or I will delay it. When time of asr comes, I'll make iqamah. So let's say, right now what I did is I prayed with you jama'ah, and then I made iqamah and I prayed my asr. Okay? I could have not prayed until asr time comes, right? I'll make iqamah and I'll pray my dhuhr first, and then I'll pray my asr. Okay? Either jama' taqdeem or jama' ta'khir. You pray it at the time of dhuhr or at the time of asr. You can only do jama' between dhuhr and asr and maghrib and isha. You can't do asr and maghrib. Okay? Only dhuhr and asr and maghrib and isha. Whether it's early on at the time of dhuhr or later on at the time of asr or maghrib or isha. Okay? So that you can combine. Now, he said this is what happened to me right now. So I came and I prayed dhuhr behind the imam. So he prayed 4, so I prayed 4. But my asr I'll pray it 2. It's okay. So that's combining and shortening, right? So you combine jama'. If I'm about to travel, let's say it happened to me last week, I'm about to go to Reno. I was home and got in a car, picked up a family friend, and I'm about to leave to Reno, but Dhuhr time came. I'm still in town. I prayed Dhuhr 4 rak'ahs, and I prayed Asr 4 rak'ahs. 2. Jama'. I combined in the time, but without shortening, because I'm still in town, because I'm going to be driving for 6-8 hours. I'm not going to have time to pray Asr, and by the time I'll get there, it'll be Maghrib. I could have stopped in a way and shortened Salah, but I cannot shorten it if I'm in town still. Okay? So I'm praying my Dhuhr, and I did Jama' for Asr. I'm praying in advance, because I'm going to hit the road, and by the time I reach there, will be Maghrib time, or even if I reach there, Asr time, still I can do the combining, but I'm praying full 4 rak'ahs. If I'm praying in town, if I already dispatch, I'm on the road, then you can shorten Salah.
Thank you.
Clear? Okay. Any more? Questions? When the questions I know sisters ask, if I'm in the mall, can I pray in my car? Not at the park, can I pray in my car? My answer always will be, no, you can't pray in your car. Unless you fear for your life. Because, say in your park, you can stand up and pray. Some people are like, oh, but mine just, I don't want to bend and people look at me. Like, dude, everybody wearing shorts and people, it's not going to work. You dressed properly, look at you. So, unless there's extreme hardship or there's fear, I mean, if it's pouring, raining, crazy, like which happens, thunderstorms, and you're going to miss Salah, that's an exception, right? But if you're doing the tawaf in the mall, you can go into the locker room or whatever the handicapped fitting room. You can do your salah if you fear for people going to mock you or there's no spot or no place or so. And if we think of salah as something important, if we pay attention to it, then we'll do our best to do it to the fullest because it's something important.
You're from California. What's the best app out there for today for Salat or Qibla or Adhan app?
I'm using the Islamic Finder one. It's called Adhan.
Islamic Finder? Yeah.
It's called Adhan. I don't know if it's best, but
Works for
you.
you.
It has the timing for every town, all the detection, and there's a prayer tool because it's Qibla. And they have it in iOS and Android. It's called Adhan. It's by Islamic Finder. Okay, we're good? Let's take a 10 minutes break and then will be the last session, inshallah, about khushu', inshallah. Okay?
What is this? Is it cold?
Alright, inshallah, bismillah, alhamdulillah, this will be the last session, inshallah. It's about khushu'. I know that it gets tiring or oversaturated with information. But hopefully you see benefit in it, inshallah ta'ala. Ramadan is approaching, hopefully our salah, our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to prayer will be better, inshallah. And Ramadan is starting, and inshallah be praying a lot. So we covered meaning, virtues, benefits, punishment for salah, and then we covered wudu and prerequisites and mandatory parts of salah. I know second and third session can get a little bit, they drag a little bit because they're dry. Fiqh generally is dry. I try to make it as much as possible as lenient as could be. And maybe we already know all this information and we pray and we do all that stuff in time properly. But we struggle with one of the most important elements of salah, and that's called khushu', concentration on salah. We have a difficult time to keep this, if you wish, our head in the game, to keep focused on salah. And that's something called khushu'. And this is an attempt. This is a lifelong battle. You'll never be able to. It's not something I learned one and that's it. It's an ongoing challenge. Will always be there. But the point is to realize that its importance and how can I try to approach it so I can improve with my salah, inshallah ta'ala. And again, if one person only from what we have 15 people or so can improve his or her salah, inshallah that would be a great benefit, inshallah ta'ala. And khushu', as I mentioned, is concentration. It's when we're able to focus during our salah. It's mentioned, so just to realize the importance of khushu'. Imam al-Tabarani says this hadith, he says, the meaning of which أول علم يرفع من الأرض الخشوع, that the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove from people's hearts is this knowledge and ability to concentrate during salah, to focus. And subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He describes the believing men and women, Allah says actually, so salah is difficult, except on those who have concentration. Kabira, that's the big, huge thing. Illa ala khashin, those who concentrate during salah. Even if I do the prerequisites and so on and so forth, it becomes a heavy burden or something of a challenge if I'm not able to concentrate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says of the description of the believing men and women, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. The true successful believers, these are the successful ones. What are their characteristics, Ya Allah? الَّذِينَ, the first thing He mentions about them, they concentrated during their salah. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. They are the ones who concentrate and pay attention while they're praying. It's the king of salah. And Imam al-Ghazali, I believe, says, in the meaning of which, it's a very profound statement. He said, the example of khushu', concentration for salah, is like the soul for the body. If I die right now, I'll lay flat in front of you. There's nothing different between you and me in the first stages. Because you have a body, I have a body. The only thing that is different will be that soul that brings life into me, right? And if we pray without khushu', concentration, as if you take that soul out of it's what gives life to salah. So if you're praying without concentration, it'll be like that dead body, that physical movement or aspect, but it's mute from what gives it life. That is the ability to concentrate and reading a conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and paying attention to what you're doing. So if it's not there, then that salah is mute. Where is khushu'? Is it in my eyes when I cry or my neck or so? The place of khushu' is in the heart. Concentration is in the heart. Is to have that ability to really be humble and paying attention, of course, which connects to your brain and so on and so forth. And one time Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab passed by, a man was praying, and that man was like doing a miskeen. It's like, khushu'. He was telling him, khushu' is not in your neck, it's in your heart. It's not the way you were kind of faking it or moving or tilting, or it's in your heart. The concentration is when you have, or the humbleness is in your heart. So if khushu' is not in your heart, that's a sign of your heart being mute or devoid of what brings life to it. No matter how many admonishments you get, it's not helping much. That's why they say, حضور القلب هو روح الصلاة. When your heart is present in salah, that's the spirit, that's the soul of your salah. So if your heart is not present, devoid of what gives it life. So it's an important thing. Sayyidina Hudhayfa says, أول ما تفقدون من دينكم الخشوع وآخر من دينكم الصلاة. The first thing that you will lose from your faith is the ability to concentrate. And the last thing is salah. وَرُبَّ مُصَلٍّ لَا خَيْرَ فِيهِ. And a time might come where you find somebody praying, but there's no good in their prayer, and they're good. يوشك أن تدخل المسجد فلا ترى فيهم خاشعا. You will enter the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the masjid, you won't find a single person who's concentrating. Do you see now, among the difficulties we have right now, do you see any masjid that doesn't have no cell phone sign in it? They all almost have it. And I can probably bet that probably 90% of people who come to masjid, they come in cars, right? Right? The majority of people drive, not walk actually. And they come in there for 10, 15 minutes and leave. You know, part of the ability to concentrate with the self-imposed things that we put on ourselves don't allow us to have khushu'. If you're praying with your phone, for example, and so on, and the phone rings. When you're praying, if the phone rings, are you going to pick it up? Why didn't bring it to you in the first place? Why? You need to check that email right there in this messenger. It's something, and I'll go into that. The self-imposed things that will reduce our khushu' concentration. Right. Filling up your pockets with so many keys and stuff, so you pray, you keep praying in front of a mirror, you keep looking at yourself. Let me put the pot of tea on the stove and I'm going to pray my dhuhr. You just told yourself you're not going to be able to pray. Did it warm up? Did it's boiling? It's not boiling? Right? Self-imposed things. I don't dress properly. Things are uncomfortable. Therefore, I have difficult time in focusing on my salah. I pray in a place or location to keep my kids running. I don't put them in check. And you want to concentrate, right? Difficult. You're cooking. You have the TV on. You have the game on, and so on and so forth. Self-imposed issues that will make difficult, salah a bit more difficult. Even if I want to concentrate, I'll have difficulty in doing so. Speed. It's difficult to concentrate. Right? It's very difficult to do so. Not paying attention, not doing the prerequisites and the qibla and dressing properly and the wudu and so on and so forth. You can't attain that. We think, and subhanAllah, our lives are very, very busy. We're thinking of a bazillion things. I'm playing basketball. Right? I stop the ball, I'm going to pray. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, you're running towards the masjid. Of course you can't, because you're running. You haven't even prepared yourself physically, mentally, psychologically to come and pray. Because these things will come in and creep in and it will impact our salah. Again, these are some self-imposed stuff. Sufyan al-Thawri said, "Man lam yakhsha fasadat salatu." The one who does not concentrate, his or her prayer is of use, no use. It's no good. That's what I mean. It's not the hadith. It's some imam saying that because he just wants to highlight the importance of khushu'. Al-Hasan al-Basri says something much even harder. He said, كل صلاة لا يحضر فيها القلب فهي للعقوبة الأسرع. Every prayer that your heart is not present in it, that might lead you to punishment more than a reward, because you're not fulfilling. It's a very tough. There's a statement. Some people say it's a hadith, but I believe it's not a hadith, but it's by the scholars. It says, ليس للعبد من صلاته إلا ما عقل منها. There is nothing for the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from his or her prayer except the part they were conscious of. Have khushu' and paying attention. That's the part that you get rewarded for. When you do the physical aspect, it's written that you prayed, but the one that benefits you and you get rewarded for is the part that you're concentrating in. And you see that similar to a hadith of Prophet Muhammad. This one is a statement of a scholar. This is something attributed to the Prophet. I believe it's a statement of, there's another hadith where Prophet Muhammad says, in the meaning of which that he attributes it, says, يصلي الرجل لا يكتب له إلا ثلثها أو ربعها. A man would pray, or a woman for that matter, and all what they get as if they prayed 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, 1/7, 1/9. Because that's the part they were paying attention in, or concentrating, or attempting to be really speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're reckoning it and they're focusing on what they're saying and the movement that they're in. They're not literally, they're physically here, but their mind is absent. So many people will say Allahu Akbar, but let me ask you this. What's greater? The thing that you say or the thing that you think of?
Think of.
Right? Occupies your mind. How many of us would say Allahu Akbar, but I'm thinking of the movie or the food? Which one is greater? The thing that, because you might say it, but you're not even paying attention to it. What's greater is in your head. Allahu Akbar means Allah is greater. But it's not with your lips. It's got to be your heart and conscious at the same time. It has to be there. And so if we examine haluna ma'a salah, if we examine our state with salah, from praying too fast, from having, again, imposing things that will make us distracted. As-sahw fi salah is something, Prophet Muhammad said, in the meaning of which, people who, have you been in the masjid and you walk with somebody praying and you look them in the eye and they go like, right? They walk you through like, dude, what are you doing?
Watching.
Yeah, you see that. Brothers and sisters all the time, eyeballing you and then they keep watching with you. Is that someone concentrating on this? It's difficult to do so. So, he says, when he was asked about al-iltifatu bis-salah, those who turn their heads and look around in salah, he says, اختلاس يختلسه الشيطان من صلاة العبد. That's something that Satan steals from your salah when you look around while praying. And this is Hadith Bukhari. And he said once, in the meaning of which, إن أسوأ الناس سرقة الذي يسرق من صلاته. The worst of thieves are the ones who steal from their own prayers. So the companions asked, Ya Rasulullah, how can you steal from your own salah? He said, يسرق من ركوعها وسجودها. He would steal or she would steal from the ruku' and sujood. Remember I said, not praying fast enough? They would steal from it. He said, they're the worst of thieves. So worse than the guy who stole billions of dollars, right? Madoff, whatever his name is. There's worse than them. A Muslim would pray, but make it like a rooster. So the worst of thieves are the ones who steal from their salah. They don't fulfill the ruku' properly and don't fulfill the sujood properly. In another hadith also, when the ones who do not pay attention and fulfill the ruku' properly because of their speed and so on and so forth. It says, الرجل الذي لم يتم ركوعه وسجوده تلف صلاته كخلقة. The one who does not fulfill the ruku' and sujood properly, one they're done with their salah, as if their prayer is shrink wrapped or wrapped, right, as an old piece of cloth, وترمى في وجهه, and thrown in his face or her face, وتقول له, and it will say to him or her, ضيعك الله كما ضيعتني. May Allah put you in loss the way you lost me. Your salah, imagine you just finished praying and your own prayer will curse you because you did not fulfill the obligations of that salah. إن الله يقبل على العبد في صلاته ما لم يلتفت. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look for you or approaches you in your salah as long as you don't turn your face. And once you turn your face, Allah will turn away from you. And sometimes these brothers and sisters, it's not just the physical turning away, but the mental turning away. How many of us say Allahu Akbar start thinking of something else? How long does it take Allah to turn away from us? 10 seconds? Maybe some of us even before we start, Allah turns away from us. Because we're not engaging really in salah the way we should be. لا ينظر الله لصلاة عبد لا يقيم صلبه بعد ركوعه. Remember I told you have to get up properly after ruku'? The hadith says Allah will not look at someone's prayer if they don't stand firm after ruku'. Right? They don't stand firm after ruku'. إن العبد إذا أقبل إلى صلاته ثم التفت في صلاته. The one who, the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who approaches his prayer. And while they're praying, they look around, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell him or her, يقول الله له أإله خير مني. Are you looking at someone that is better than me? أوجدت لك إله غيري. Have you found the Lord that is other than me? أوجدت لك أحدا يرحمك أكثر مني. Have you found someone that will be merciful to you more than me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is question. And al-iltifat, turning away is two. There's the physical aspect again, and there's the spiritual aspect of it. When you're healed, your mind is not in it, your heart is not in it. That's not there. That's why Ibn Abbas says, لَيْسَ لِلْعَبْدِ مِنْ صَلَاتِهِ إِلَّا مَا عَقِلَ مِنْهَا. You have nothing in your prayer that the reward is for, except the part that you're conscious in, because that's the part that you really pray and pay attention to what you're doing. I'm going to give some examples on those who prayed before and they were concentrating in their salah also, al-khashiyin. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab one time saw a man that's praying and playing with the hasa, the small pebbles. Now we have phones. Jum'ah, I give khutbahs quite a bit. You see people surfing the web, checking their email, and so on and so forth. So he told him, فقال له عمر لو خشع قلب هذا لخشع الجوارح. That's while he's praying. He said, if this man, while he's praying, he's playing with the pebbles. If his heart was conscious, his limbs would have been conscious. But his heart is not conscious. That's why you see people praying. Gotta fix the shirt. You gotta fix. You keep playing with it, right? Because you're not really focusing on your salah. Listen to this amazing story. Abu Talha al-Ansari, one of the companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was praying in his garden, in his orchard, right? While he's praying, a bird came, started hovering from a tree to a tree, and Abu Talha, he started looking at that bird while he's praying. So when you say praying, that means he's praying sunnah. It's like because they would pray for in Jama'ah with the Prophet. That's my assumption. So he started looking around. And he lost track of how many rak'ahs he was in. Maybe it could have been 4, Allahu A'lam, but he lost track. So he went to Prophet ﷺ crying. And he complained to Prophet ﷺ that he did not focus, and he got distracted with because that bird maybe was eating from the tree, the fruits of that. So it's like, he's eating from his crop or something like that. Maybe. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, I feel guilty that I lost track of my salah because this bird was hovering and so on and so forth. So what he did, he gave up tabarra. He donated that garden for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he doesn't want to be distracted again. Imagine that we donate everything that distracts us from salah. We'll be a very poor nation, and the masjid will be pretty rich. We're probably donating our kids to doing that as well, right? Whether it could be our clothes or phones, TVs, pots, right? Whatever it is, cars, work, right? But look at that level of consciousness. He didn't want anything to distract him from being committed and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you think, give this example. So, if you are in a movie theater, or you're watching a movie, or at home watching the game, so in the movie we don't want anybody to distract us. No man is the last to come. I want to hear everything they say. But in Salah, all is good. No problem. Right? No problem with that. Alcohol it was forbidden in the beginning because one companion drank alcohol and he prayed and he messed up in the verses, and the companions complained, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verse, لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى, do not approach salah while you're drunk, because when you're drunk you can't make what you're saying, right? You can make sense of it, or your brain doesn't function as good as should be. So you'll mix up things and so on and so forth. So in the initial stage of banning alcohol was, you could drink, but not when it's near salah time, because you won't be conscious of it, or 100%. So I ask you by Allah, how many of us pray like a drunk people? Pray and we don't know nothing about what we're saying. Wallah, I don't speak Arabic. If you've been praying for 20 years, you can't tell the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha. You came to this country, man, you start speaking like a bird English within 2 years, because you had to work and study, and it's a matter of effort. Many of us pray like a drunk people, with the speed and not paying attention to what we're saying. That's things, the level of Abu Talha, that's what it is. I don't want anything to distract me from being engaged with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Aqimu salah, establish salah, it's not, Allah did not say sallu, pray. It says establish prayer, which means I meet the prerequisites, arkan, the principles, and concentration. I beautify it to the best of my ability. Right? That's what Allah wants from us. When Urwa ibn Zubayr, one of the companions, his leg was infected and he got Navarina and they had to amputate it. And they told him, they tried to tell him, we'll give you alcohol. We said, no, I will not do that. So he can get wasted, so he can cut his foot. We will give you mukhaddarat or something will make you deal with the pain. And he refused, and he asked him, أنا أعينكم على نفسي. Cut it, well, I'll help you with it. How? He said, let me pray, and when you see me doing tasbih and so on and so forth, when I'm in the middle of my salah, cut my foot. And they did so, and then he fainted, and he said one of the best condolences he received is that his friend told him, your leg went before you to Jannah, make sure that you follow. But look, he was in the best state when he was praying. Concentrating, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the best of state. We constantly lose track sometimes of how many rak'ahs we do. In one of the books I was reading, they asked one imam, they asked him, how come you've been leading salah, was it 20 or 40 years or something like that? You haven't once made sujood sahw. I mean, what's your magic for that? You haven't lost track of one rak'ah. And he would tell him, when I approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I leave dunya with my shoes outside the street. Because I'm coming to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I take off that slipper, dunya is like the dirt that stays outside. And then I engage in my salah. I focus in my salah. And he will pay attention to that. Now, I want you, I'll mention this because I know I mentioned it last time, but how can I obtain khushu'? Now I understand its importance and it's what gives life to salah and the danger of not fulfilling the arkan and not concentrating and the punishment for that, or I'm really missing what salah is all about, I can't concentrate. How can I concentrate? How can I have khushu' in salah? It's a difficult thing. It's not an easy task. And it's not an easy fix. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. The place of khushu' is where? The heart. Prophet Muhammad says, in the meaning of which, أَلَا إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً. There's a piece of flesh in your body. If it's sound and it's healthy, then the rest of the body is sound and healthy. And if it's ill, diseased, rusty, right? Then the rest of the body is ill and diseased and so on and so forth. And that piece of flesh is your heart. So this is the engine, this is the locus, this is the hard drive. This is it. This is the place of your khushu'. Our hearts, subhanAllah, Prophet Muhammad used to make this dua, Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbana ala dinik. Or paraphrasing, oh Allah, you turn over the hearts, because the hearts keep it. Qalb means qalb, keeps on turning, right? Changing. That's the heart. Oh Allah, you turn over the hearts, make my heart turn towards you, or towards your faith. Fix it on that element. Alright? Prophet Muhammad used to make that dua. Right? So what this heart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses with, is a very sensitive organ. Very sensitive organ. Whatever you expose your life to, you expose it to, is going to what? Absorb it. It's like a sponge. You clean your kitchen, you wipe the cabinet, that sponge gets everything, right? The dirt, the water, soap, it gets all of that. Soap is a detergent, right? Cleanliness. But also you get that dirt, you get that water, you get that whatever it is. That sponge takes it in. And whatever you take in that sponge, when you squeeze it, that's what comes out. Right? If you listen to Outlandish, who Outlandish is in the 2005 album, they say that. Whatever you pour into it, that's what's going to come out. Whatever you put in that heart, in that bowl, in that pot, that's what's going to come out of it. If you put orange juice, that's what you're going to get, orange juice. So whatever you expose your heart to, that hard drive is going to play back during salah. If I'm working 8 hours a day, school, or going to school that many hours, and I'm watching that many TV, I'm watching this much news, and I'm cooking, and I'm playing, and all that stuff, right? It's fine. These are not haram things. And then I want to pray. What do you think? This is the hard drive I've been saving all day. What's going to happen? How many times you look at the joke that somebody sends you a text message and you stop praying and that message comes in your salah? Because that's what you just put in the hard drive. It's going to play back right now. Shaitan is going to open it for you. Open that file, click, see this right now. So this is the hard drive. Whatever you expose it to, during Salah is going to come out. Therefore, and as I said, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told, this is a very sensitive organ, very sensitive organ. Huh? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says in the hadith, and the meaning of which, تعرض الفتن على القلوب كالحصير عودا عودا. Trials and tribulations will be exposed to the heart like a straw man. Whichever heart absorbs it, نكت فيه نكتة سوداء. Which these trials and tribulations and tests and so on and so forth, whatever takes it in, that you take that sayyi'ah or bad deed or so, then once you do it, you'll be stamped like a black dot in it. And whichever heart rejects it, meaning understands the test and doesn't get into the haram and so on and so forth, نكت فيه نكتة بيضاء, until you stamp with a white dot. حتى تصير القلوب, until the hearts become one of two. قلب أسود, a hard dark heart. كالكوز مجخيا, I think that how he says, paraphrasing. Like a funnel turned upside down. You know when you have the funnel turned upside down, then when you want to pour something in it, it's very difficult. Everything's going to get shot, right? Because the face or the mouth that's where it is. But if you turn it back upside down, you can't really put much in it, right? You can. So your heart becomes that dark heart, كالكوز مجخيا, turned upside down. لا يعرف معروفا ولا ينكر منكرا. Doesn't know good, can't take the good, and doesn't reject the bad. Becomes sealed. And the other hearts that are, does the good and exposed to the good and so on and so forth, right? It becomes, amless, like this soft, hard, tender. It knows the good and it rejects, like that walking. It knows the good and absorbs it and so on and so forth. It's one of two. Whatever we expose ourselves to, if I'm watching movies 10 hours a day, and I'm doing this and that, that's what you're putting in your heart. It's very difficult. And Quran is only 5 minutes, or that half a page. Imagine, think of your heart like a mirror. If you put a big mirror on this wall, and now you're gonna put Shaquille O'Neal's picture on, and Shakira, and Shah Rukh Khan, and Amr Diab, and Sheikh this, just filling up with all these images, right? These are like artists and singers and what have you. Well, I'm just paraphrasing, putting these big images of athletes and stuff. Now you're invited to a wedding, to attend a wedding, and you put your gown on, or your suit, and you want to look in the mirror so you see your reflection, but you can't. So many images there. Like there's a little crack here, so you gotta fix this, you keep moving so you can't see, do I look good or not, right? Similarly, your heart is, whenever you expose it to all these things that you're exposed to, work and school and so on and so forth, and there's that much left in these cracks because I'm not consistent with the room of Quran, so you can't really, if the month of Ramadan comes, there's not much space. You haven't really conditioned your heart for it to receive the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly. You're not systematically reading the Quran on a daily basis, or contemplating on a daily basis, and praying in the masjid on a daily basis, and having good friends on a daily basis, and good company, and so on and so forth. If you don't do that, this heart becomes cluttered, won't be positioned to receive Allah, to be able to have that consciousness. So this heart reflects what you expose it to. That's what I'm trying to get to, okay? It reflects what you expose it to. If you want it to be conscious and healthy, right? It's about a lifestyle. That means I need to be doing my salah on time, right? I need to watch my tongue because all these senses are plugged into this heart. Because if I keep yapping or slandering and so on and so forth, that's what I'm feeding. That's what I'm pouring in, right? The things I watch and look at, if it's all indecent or there's nothing decent in it, I don't quench the thirst of my eyes with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? All these images of pop stars and so on and so forth, that's what I'm feeding, that's what I'm pouring in it. That's what's going to come during Salah. So I need to think of it that it's a lifestyle. If I want to concentrate, it's concentration in the place of it is in the heart. The heart is a very sensitive organ, could sway either way. I need to make sure that I put in it what brings life to it. What brings life to it? The heart has two roles. One is dictated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's called musayya, which is pumps blood and oxygen, right? You can't have no choice. Can you say, I want no blood and oxygen today? You'll die. It's dictated by Allah. And there's another purpose, it's called mukhayyal. Allah, it's basically you choose, which is knowing Allah, loving Him, and being eager to meet Him. See with me? You with me there? If, just like this heart, these arteries that you have around your heart, there's no blood flowing, no oxygen, you'll eventually have a heart attack or a stroke and you die. Or if these arteries are clogged up. There's metaphysical arteries, if you wish, unseen ones, spiritual ones. If Quran, because what brings life is that blood stream, right? What brings life to the other purpose of this heart, knowing Him and loving Him and being eager to meet Him, is what Allah dictated, which is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran. That what brings life to it. You can't love Allah without knowing His book. You want Him to meet Him. Allah put that nutrients, if you wish, that brings life to it is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you gotta feed it from what brings life to it. So praying, reading the Quran, being with good company, and so on and so forth. It's a lifestyle. That doesn't mean you can't work, you can. No. I'm saying you have to dedicate some time for what brings life to it. So when you want to pray, you can really activate that portion that can overwhelm it. That's with your good company, with your good friends, you do good deeds, you do donate, you do good deeds, because that heart becomes lively. It's not dead. It's not dead. If your heart is only pumping blood and oxygen, it's a dead heart. You need to do that, but also needs to be conscious and understanding of its role, knowing Allah, loving Him, and wanting, being eager to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So it's a sensitive organ, I have to expose it to things. That's throughout it. That means a day should not pass without reading one page of Quran. Right? Doing my salah on time. Astaghfirullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Helping someone in need. Speaking, consoling my friend. Helping the outside society at large. Something good, whatever it is. Right? So I can bring life to it. Making sure that this heart is conscious. I stay away from sayyi'at because I know that sayyi'at will bring that heart, that black dots into it and seal it, that rustness. It'll be difficult. And I need to scrape that off. If I do a bad deed, which we all do, I'll do a good deed so I can erase it. I seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so I can erase it. Make sense? So I keep the health of this hard drive or this organ in check so I can concentrate in salah. Alright? It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. The more sayyat you do, the more impacts your heart, and you'll have difficulty in khushu'. Finally, I will say, two things I want to say. Now, if I want to have khushu', I can internalize the actions that I do when it comes to salah. For example, we said among the prerequisites of salah, I make wudu, right? That's the physical aspect. I'm washing my hands. But next time you go in front of that sink, remember the hadith the hadith Prophet said, with every drop of water that drips down, the sins that you committed with that thing drips out. So you're not only washing the outer body, but also internally you recognize that it's washing your sins away. Internalize the process. If you internalize the process, it helps with khushu', inshallah. Internalize that when you put your garments on, I'm covering my awrat, my deficiencies. Internalize that process. Allah, of course, sees everything, but Ya Rabbi, just like I'm covering my private parts from people, I'm covering my awrat, my sayyat. Ya Allah, I want to cover my bad deeds. When I'm facing the qibla, internalize the process, not only Kaaba, but I'm facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, right? Internalize that. Really mean that Allah is the greatest. Not the movie or the game or the phone call or the message that you think, or the class or the exam. So mean that. I'm facing the Qibla, yes, I'm thinking of Al-Kaaba. I'm facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so on, so forth, Mecca. When I say Allahu Akbar, mean that Allahu Akbar. When I recite Al-Fatiha, I mentioned in the beginning of the seminar, that this is actually a conference. Every time you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Hamadani Abdi, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Majadani Abdi, Maliki, Iyaka Na'budu, Maliki Yawmiddin. Allah says, oh my servant is praising me, Iyaka Na'budu wa Iyaka Nasta'een. That, oh Allah, we seek help from you and we worship you and we seek only assistance from you. Right? Allah is responding to you. There's a hadith on that. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Ya Allah, think of it. You're telling Allah, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Oh Allah, guide us in the straight path. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Like the people that you've blessed in the past. Right? Or those who you blessed, that you gave your blessings on. غير المغضوب عليهم. Not the ones that you're upset with. ولا الضالين, or those who are misguided. You are making a dua. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end of the, in the conversation like this, that's what my servant asked for, and for him, he or she will be granted what they ask for. Internalize that. The small surah that you know 5, 6, 7 surahs, know the meaning, what they mean. Al-Fatiha, you should know the meaning, what these verses mean. You speak Arabic or not, you should try to know what they mean. And when you switch, when you say Allahu Akbar, now maybe you lost track, but you remind yourself, Allah is greater. Allahu Akbar, I'm reminding myself, Allah is greater than what I'm thinking of. I'm going to check back, I'm going back into Salah. Then I say, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Allah is the greatest. I'm praising Allah the great. Sami Allahu liman hamid. You know what does that mean? Allah hears those who praise Him. And say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Oh my Lord, and to praise all due to you. Then Allahu Akbar, Allah is the great. So I lost track. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Praise be to the one, my Lord, who is the highest, while I'm in the lowest position. Right? When we say At-Tahiyyatu Lillah, At-Tahiyyatu Lillah, Was-Salawatu Tayyibat, praise be to the one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the prayers and everything that is good. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, peace be unto you, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi as-salihin, peace unto us and for all the righteous servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think, Sayyidina Isa, Sayyidina Musa, a scholar that you know that is righteous, that died, and so on and so forth. Think of good people. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi as-salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad is His messenger. When I say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, Allah invoke peace and blessings on Prophet Muhammad and his family. Think of his wife Aisha, think of his children, whether it's Ibrahim or those who died, or his daughters. You can think of that. That's what you're saying. You're invoking peace and blessings on them. كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم, just like you invoke peace and blessings on Sayyidina Ibrahim and his wife and his children. That's what we technically say, right? We can reflect about what we say. So this tongue is matching with this brain, and hopefully that will bring consciousness, or at least I'm able to focus more on what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not about the speed of your tongue. It's say it really. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Once you think of it, yeah, prayer is going to take a little bit longer, but you'll see the benefit of it, inshallah ta'ala. You bear the fruit from it. Finally, I'll say, one of the scholars, Hatim ibn al-Asam, he was asked, what is it to do that you do so you can concentrate during Salah? Listen to him. So he prepares physically, mentally, psychologically, all these aspects. He says, when I approach Salah, how you up? He said, if I want to pray, he did the wudu and everything, dressed properly. He said, I place the Kaaba between my eyes. As if I'm looking at the Kaaba. And as if I'm standing on a Sirat al-Mustaqim. You know what's the description of a Sirat, that bridge above hell going to heaven? The description of it is as sharp as a sword and as thin as a piece of hair. So imagine, some guys crazy, they're very adventurous. They go on these ropes between mountains and they balance, they walk. They have to be extremely precise and careful because the wind, and they just basically walk on a rope basically. Thin rope. Imagine yourself that you are standing on a sword as thin as a piece of hair and hellfire is beneath you. You won't be moving, right? That's what he's trying to say. Kaaba is in front of me. I'm firm because I know hell is behind, right? Or I'm standing on a sword, so if I fall, it's going to cut me or so. Heaven is to my right. The bounties and the blessings and the rivers and so on, and hellfire is to my left, and the angel of death is behind me. capture my soul, and Allah's watching over me. That's before he prays, he's reflecting upon that. And then he says Allahu Akbar. Of course, his intention. So he's preparing himself psychologically. He's about to engage in salah. You know, Hassan bin Ali said, كان يرتعد ويتغير لونه. He would used to shake and his color would change. And you say, why? He says, قالوا له لما? Why such a, you go through such thing? I mean, you can't call your color changes. قال أتدرون بين يدي من أقف? Can't you realize between whose hands I'm standing right now? I'm standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can I not reflect on that? So Hatib al-Isam, so he imagines all of that, and he says he recites it properly, and then he does the tasbih and all of that. And subhanAllah, what he does is said, بعد السلام يقول أتراها تقبل. He asked, after he's done with the salah, all this preparation, he said, I'm not sure if Allah will accept my salah. But he puts an effort. You know, Dr. Khurram Murad, if you buy this book in the early hours, you'll see. If you want to pray, you gotta prepare mentally, psychologically, timing. That's why you do it in the early time, not when you're not rushing it towards the last 5 minutes, because you'll be rushed to do it, right? If you're gonna pray, it's gonna take 3 minutes. Why don't you do it early on? You got time, right? You gotta spend the same time. Do it early on where you're comfortable, and Allah loves it most. You'll be able to concentrate more. But delaying it and pushing it, you want to do it in hastiness, rushing it, difficulty. And of course, the problem is things and so on and so forth. It's an ongoing process. It never ends. And sometimes, maybe after this session, Ramadan is coming, we're approaching Ramadan. So approach Fard, right, with this kind of mindset. And hopefully, inshallah, you'll see the fruits. But will it sustain? No. Maybe after 2 weeks it dips down. But what you want to create a bare minimum, that I won't miss Fard, I won't combine it when there's no need. I try to pray it on time, early on. I'll do the prerequisites properly, making sure my wudu is done properly. And I don't have put any distractions. I intentionally keep my phone away if I want to pray. I'll take care of this. I don't even put on vibrate if I want to. Why? Because if it's vibrating, it's bothering me and the people next to me. I do the steps, take care of the steps that will help me improve my khushu'. And don't forget, it's the day, like it's a lifelong process. I have to expose myself to Quran on a daily basis, good companionship, good projects, helping in the community, donating, whatever it might be that will help bring goodness into this heart, so it can, the pot will gush out whatever is poured into it. That's bottom line. So if I fix it up, or I try, inshallah I will improve with my khushu'. And again, maybe one salah is good, one salah is not, but think of it. When will be the last time that I prayed and I was in the state of sujood, and I didn't want to raise my hand? I said, Ya Rabbi, I'm enjoying this. Or when was the last time that I was praying and I was crying out of the sweetness of salah? And that's what Prophet said, Arihna biha ya Bilal. Call for that salah so we can get comfort and ease, ya Bilal. جُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ. That's what it means, like I have felt the comfort and blessings during salah because he's enjoying it. Because you know why? He's speaking to his Lord. To Rabbil Alameen. That relationship, that love relationship there. And he's engaged in a conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one he loves the most. Not burdened by it, not difficult. Have that difficulty. Yeah. I'll stop here inshallah ta'ala. It's 4:11, I think we took more than enough. And we want some have any questions, you can ask me in person inshallah. But for the sake of time, I say subhanakallah wa bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Whatever I said that is good, that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I made any mistakes, that's definitely from myself. Islam, Allahu minha wa rasuluhu bara'. Either from myself or shaitan. Please make dua, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. I hope inshallah ta'ala that you've benefited, and hopefully you can put some of this practice into practice in Ramadan inshallah ta'ala and benefit from it. Jazakumullah khair, subhanakallah wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.